See, it's one of those classic, we call these QLCS, quasi-linear convective systems, a big name, but this is what we see often here in the month of December, heading into January, and it's always interesting to me. I go back and look at last year and the past few seasons, and we deal with this setup often. This is not unusual for this time of the year, but unfortunately for us, a lot of times it seems like it is the overnight when we deal with a lot of these severe weather events, but hopefully, as this line moves further east, it will behave, but at this point, we do have that warning that is still active. This is a tornado warning that's going on. Lauren, what are you hearing there? I know, again, this looks like the strongest circulation looks like it's staying just north of the city of Vernon.
Yeah, Wes, I'm not seeing any reports of damage yet, or even our friends at the National Weather Service in Birmingham haven't seen, as we've noticed here as well. We don't have anything in the way of a debris signature showing up yet on radar. But what we are noticing with this, we were looking at the velocity, which shows us how the winds are operating within inside of the storm. And it does look like the rotation with this particular cell that was embedded within the line that's coming through has gotten broader. So oftentimes when that happens, when you have these types of systems like Wes was talking about, a QLCS, you can get these little embedded spin ups within the line, and they'll spin up like that and then can deteriorate. So that can very well be what happened here. They're very hard to warn for, but still, if you're anywhere in Vernon, Sulligent, Moscow, Beaverton, Mansfield, we do want to give you the first alert that this part of the line coming through, even if there's not still a formal tornado associated with it, damaging wind gusts are going to be an issue with this. And this is one thing we've been stressing this evening. Hey, if you get even a severe thunderstorm warning, you want to treat it like a tornado warning, because you can get straight line wind damage, and sometimes that can be on par with the damage you would get from a low end EF0, EF1 tornado. So that's really a big concern that we have tonight, is that damaging wind potential. I'm going to zoom out the view here so you can get an idea of other places along the line where we are watching for, if not an actual tornado, some damaging winds. This is our rotation detector that we have here in the studio, and it's showing as well this area that is under a severe thunderstorm warning. You see in Lamar County, there's some strong winds that are about to be moving towards Kennedy. This is right along Highway 96, and this is pushing north and eastward. So I would go ahead and give a first alert for areas like Kennedy, up into Belk, potentially even along Highway 96 up to Cedar Hill. You could see the possibility of those strong winds coming through, but it does look at least like this one area that we've been watching in Lamar County. The rotation has broadened out a little bit, but let's also note these winds that are approaching Crossville. So our system here is detecting some strong winds possible here, and it's coming into Crossville right now. If you were in Crossville, I would go ahead and get into your safe place, because these are some potent winds that are moving through right along Highway 18. These are going to be pushing to the north and east towards areas like Blooming Grove, and these storms are moving at about 60 miles per hour. So when we talk about going to your safe place, you got to get to that lowest level of your home away from windows. And as we've been saying, you treat a severe thunderstorm warning just like you would a tornado warning, because we have a lot of trees here in Alabama. So especially if you have some large trees in your yard, it doesn't take much, especially when you have some heavy rain coming through and the ground can get saturated, for these type of winds to topple trees. So it's really this area that we have these severe thunderstorm warnings. I would say Lamar County is really the spot that we're seeing some of the most intense winds now along this line. You want to watch closely. We'll go back here to where the tornado warning is still in effect until 10 o'clock in Lamar County. And I'm just not seeing the rotation we saw earlier, but this is that type of setup where you can see a brief spin up along the line. It can touch down and then go right back up again. But what you want to note with this line, look at the structure of it. Do you see how it's beginning to bow out a little bit? When you begin to see that bow and arrow, sans the arrow type structure on radar, that can indicate straight line winds are beginning to develop. And so we have that, not just that tornado warning in the northern part of Lamar County, but notice the severe thunderstorm warning extends to the south as well. So that's accounting for, hey, as these storms come in, they are going to be pushing eastward and they're going to be packing a punch. So that severe thunderstorm warning I'm actually seeing now has been extended to areas west. We have Marion County and Fayette County now under the gun with seeing this severe thunderstorm warning. And this particular one is in effect until 10:45 p.m. Central Time. So we did update the arrival times on this. I want to show it to you real quickly. the updated storm timing we have right here. And so this is showing that as we go into tonight, we're going to be seeing these storms moving through West Alabama right now, possibly getting out as early as 1 a.m., if not before that, and then coming into the heart of our area, areas like Birmingham, Alabaster, Aniana, Centerville by midnight, and then exiting East Alabama by 5 a.m. Honestly, the way this is picking up speed, it may be out of here sooner than that. So even if you don't have storms moving through your area right now, we just want to make sure you're paying attention and can go to your safe space as needed, Wes, because as these are coming through quickly, it may be over with quickly, but that means as it comes through quickly, these winds are really picking up some steam.
Yeah, that's right, Lauren. And a lot of times, we see these systems that are fast movers like this. Often we do see some of those damaging straight line winds. So let's get back over here to First Alert AccuTrack radar at this time. We're seeing severe thunderstorm warnings all up and down this line that is holding together. It looks like within the hour this is approaching places like Tuscaloosa, Jasper, Double Springs, Haleyville, also Greensboro. So we may see more of those warnings popping up soon. But the reason we're staying on right now is because of this tornado warning for Lamar County. We need to see what happens with this because the way this is tracking, this tornadic part of this line is, and as Lauren mentioned, we're going to have some strong winds in here. If it's not a tornado, some 60+ mile-per-hour winds. The way this is bowing out, this is going to move in here, likely seeing some random power outages, some strong winds as this moves to the north. Now, the EMA in Lamar County, I just noticed on the chat, not reporting any damage at this time, which is a good sign. Hopefully the news stays that way. But if you're watching me in Guin, the Guin area, if you're watching me around the Twin community, make sure Winfield, another area. Let's pay close attention to this. This is approaching Beaverton. This is right around, looks like this is going to be around Turkey Branch Road areas in Beaverton, the Cruz area, Mulberry Road's another area that we need to watch out for possible. If you live along those areas, you need to be in your tornado shelter. Mulberry Road and Turkey Branch Road areas there around Beaverton. You're under the tornado warning. And Lauren, let's go back to velocity. I want to take a close look at this one more time. And let's see, are we at Columbus radar? Quite a bit of lightning. Okay, so the rotation certainly much broader at this time. You see the inbound, outbound winds. We look for that tightening, that couplet, and it's still seeing some strong winds in here. Straight line winds more likely what we're seeing at the moment. We're zoomed in over Pine Springs. Look at some of these winds now. Of course, this is going to be the radar scan, some of the data coming in more elevated, but it just kind of gives you an idea of how fast some of these wind speeds are aloft and how these winds are really starting to pick up in this area. I don't think we necessarily, did we see a debris signature with this as it first formed? We can loop back and you can see this is probably just kicking up right in there, seeing just a lot of leaves and dust along that gust front right in that area. But there's the circulation. You can see there some strong winds with this. Look at that line of gusty winds kicking up dirt and dust as it moves to the north. There's Henson Springs also around the Beaverton area right now, the leading edge of some of those stronger wind gusts moving to the north. There's Pikeville, Yampertown, the Twin area I mentioned a few moments ago, Guin. This is Highway 278, Fulton Bridge, the Marion County High Schools down in here. Looks like it's going to stay the circulation there off to the west at this time. But those strong winds are really pushing in now to Fayette County, right around the Belk area. Looks like some of the strongest wind gusts maybe staying just north there around Pilgrim's Rest Baptist Church, just north of there over towards Bluff. This is pushing towards Winfield and Stewart. So even though we're not under a tornado warning I mentioned earlier in Marion and Fayette County, if you're watching me around Winfield, all along Highway 43 there in those areas, you're still going to have some winds in here, 50, 60 miles per hour as this tracks towards the east direction. This is all moving towards Carbon Hill. So that's another area. I know we're not under an active warning at this time in Walker County, but I like to give you the first alert, making sure you have the first alert as this approaches. You got some time here to get ready for this line. And as Lauren noted, this is it. Once this passes, we are seeing some random power outages, though. I saw some of those reports out there. Just a reminder, make sure your mobile device is charged as this line approaches. But soon, rather than later, we'll be able to start clearing away some counties as this quickly moves into West Alabama. But there you go. You can see over in West Alabama, we've had some strong winds out of the south, some gradient winds, and seeing a few random outages. Tuscaloosa, one area where I received some of those reports down in the South Tuscaloosa. So some folks there right now, if you do lose power, just a reminder that we're on clear channel radio stations across the state. We have a television streaming app. We also have our mobile streaming app. We have a television and a mobile streaming app that you can download and watch our streams there. We're also on YouTube, so a lot of different ways, but just make sure you have access to live information, just like what you're doing right now watching us on television. There's not much of a delay, and it's not old information. You're getting real-time information. That's critical on nights like this. But if you have friends, family, I always like to mention this in West Alabama. As this line approaches, never hurts to send a text or a call and just phone a friend. Let them know that we're talking about some active weather now pushing in towards Marion, Fayette, approaching Tuscaloosa counties. Right now, Pickens County. Lauren, do we have Reform? We also have another Sky Vision. We can just kind of check in on some of the camera, some of the conditions there in Pickens County as this line moves in, kind of give a little bit of ground truth on what folks are dealing with there across Pickens County at this time. But there's Vernon we had a few moments ago, and looks like right now, just checking out the view, if we go to, this is at the North Pickens County Airport. This is right there at Reform, Alabama Property Development. So it looks like the leading edge of that heavier rainfall now just approaching. We have winds out of the south at about 17 miles per hour. So here it comes, that heavier rain there starting to move into Pickens County right around Reform. So areas from McShann to Coal Fire all along Highway 82. We've had some strong wind gusts. Lauren zoomed in right now. Looks like starting to see that circulation again, Lauren.
Yeah, Wes, it looks like
right
this
here
is just to the north of Beaverton.
Right there. So there you go. We still have some circulation with this. That is lifting to the north, Pikeville and Stinson area. Stand by here. If you're in Guin, we may see an expansion on this warning if this continues to intensify. So that's what we're seeing right now. So okay, so a tornado warning is going to be issued for Marion County. So we're going to stay with you here. National Weather Service, as Lauren just noted, you can see there in the forecast data, this tornado warning for Marion County will go until 10:30. So now is the time. Take shelter if you are in Guin, the Pikeville area, Hamilton. You will likely be included. This polygon is probably going to expand here to include that area as well. This is where we're seeing a radar indicated tornado, and you can see how that's lifting almost due north into Marion County at this time, but it's taking more of a sharp northeastward track here. So that's going to put this right around places like the Pikeville Country Club, Fulton Bridge area, Hamilton. It looks like it's going to be close to in Merritt. What do you have, Lauren?
Just looking at a little, just the debris associated with all this.
So we do have, yeah, and it looks like, in addition to that, Lauren, looks like we have some strong straight line winds you can see extending back into places like Barnesville. But a lot of, there you go, most of the county included. There's the latest polygon. So your weather radios are going off now in Marion County. You're going to get the alert on the First Alert Weather app. So this is what we're telling you about, giving you the first alert for that. A line of not severe storms in here, some strong straight line winds, not just a tornado. We have just a long line of damaging wind gusts that are lifting into Marion County, but this tornado is right around the Beaverton area. You can tell, this isn't the classic setup where we have these long, discrete supercell thunderstorms. What you're seeing is a storm that's embedded in, or circulation that's embedded in this line. So very, very difficult sometimes to identify these, but clearly we have some good radar data as we're looking at this from the Columbus site. Let's go back to the base reflectivity and just to show you once again where that actual tornado would be located. And this would be it right in this area. Let's see, are we in storm relative velocity mode? Let's go back to...
No, we're on base velocity.
Okay, so let's check out storm relative velocity. So right there. So here's the rotation. There's Pikeville. I mentioned Pikeville Country Club area. There's Pierce's Mill. Hamilton here at the top of the screen. There's Hamilton. So the driver's license office is right in this area. You can just identifying a couple of landmarks here for folks in this area just to show you where it's going to cross. Right in that general vicinity, it may cross just south of Hamilton. Right here, the Buttahatchee River runs in this direction right there, kind of pointing on the screen. So it's going to run right along the river there to the north. Pierce's Mill, Hackleburg, if this holds together, together, you are also in the tornado warning if that continues. It's going to move in this track right here. So I'm talking Pikeville, Hamilton to Pierce's Mill. If you live in between there along Highway 278, if you live around Hackleburg, Lauren's putting a track on this. You can see right there this Hackleburg. We're looking at a estimated time of arrival here around 10:14. Estimated time of arrival, and the tornado warning is set to expire. Once again, this one for Marion County is going to be in effect until 10:30. So a lot of we've got severe thunderstorms capable of not just producing tornadoes but straight line winds. As we back the view out, we still have Lamar County. I think we can sound very soon the all clear for Lamar County. Vernon, this is north of you, and by the way, if you are in places like Vernon, Millport and Kennedy, very soon that line's passing. Severe threat will be over, just a lot of rain that we're going to be dealing with. But we have these severe thunderstorm warnings in the areas to the south. Right now we do have a pocket of heavier rain starting to lift in towards Shelby County. You may be hearing some rumbles of thunder out of this. This is going to move into the Birmingham area as well. A lot of rain falling between Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. This is non-severe, but you might hear some loud rumbles. Looks like we have a storm. Maybe with this, Lauren, some of this initial storm activity may be a bit more elevated. We might actually have maybe some hail with this as it moves to the north. Might be some pea-sized hail with some of these small cells that develop. But this stuff is racing 60, 70 miles per hour. That's the motion. So that's why I say have a plan tonight. Not only is it nighttime, but the way this stuff is moving, it is racing to the north. But we do have some storms starting to pop up. But this is non-severe if you do start to hear some rumbles around the Bessemer area. But this is all severe. Now Hale County included and Marengo County included in a severe thunderstorm warning in addition to Fayette County. So we're concerned about those damaging straight line winds. Right now, not seeing a clear signature of a tornado in this stormy weather around Aliceville and Pickensville, but we do have the possibility of some damaging winds, 60 plus miles per hour as this moves in. This is what it looks like right now. This is a live look in Pickens County. This is at Reform. That rain really coming down at this time. We have some gusty winds, but this is mostly what we're seeing there. Some gusty winds, a lot of rain at this time across Pickens County and areas south. This is right along Highway 82. For folks there familiar with Pickens County, you know where Reform is. So that's where we have this line now starting to move in. But as Lauren's taking us back to Marion County, you are under a tornado warning until 10:30. Marion County tornado warning. You can see the worst of this has passed to the north of Beaverton, so we can sound the all clear. If you're watching me here around the town of Beaverton, this is north of you. Now this is pushing in closer to Pikeville, Fulton Bridge, and the Guin area. Some real gusty winds. Guin, strongest circulation. Looks like it's just north of you. There's the Twin area. So even though we have some, this is more straight line winds that we're seeing down in here. But if we go back to velocity data, I believe it was right in this area here, Lauren, where we're seeing some of that circulation there trying to spin up. Let's go back to storm relative velocity right in this area around Pikeville. Let's zoom in really close to this. So this is crossing right around Highway 278. Here's I-22, Pikeville areas. This is right on top of you where we see that circulation. Still, it's kind of broad in this area, but we could have a tornado in here. That is around County Highway 2 as well. There's Pikeville Road, and I mentioned Fulton Bridge. Hamilton, you are also included in this as well. There's Hamilton right here. So State Highway 17, Hamilton. Military Road here, Military Street, south of Hamilton. I mentioned the license office, the Walmart's right in that area. So yeah, some locations here to familiarize where this is located. That's going to cross right here, just south, right at the intersection of Military Road and I-22. Right's where this is going to cross. And if it holds on that track, that would take this mostly just to the east of town here, east of Hamilton, right? Just to the east of the Buddy Hatchie River. One runs right through here. So Liberty Trail area looks like it may impact Hackleburg if it does hold together the way this is moving. Tessner, Hackleburg. So stand by here. Go ahead. Be in that tornado safe place. Hackleburg, I know an area we're all too familiar with severe weather and tornadoes. So let's go through have that safety plan in place right now until we get this line through here. But you can tell clearly by looking at this, it's a little bit more of a kind of a Boeing segment here. It's almost, the line's almost pointing in the direction that it's moving, as Lauren noted, almost like an arrow. So that's often a sign you've got those enhanced winds. So I'm really concerned about some straight line wind damage out of something like this. When I see it, a lot of times it's often difficult again to see these tornadoes. They briefly rotate, they briefly develop, and they cycle through again. And sometimes we can see those embedded along the line. Earlier, the National Weather Service in Jackson had tornado warnings all along this line, just state from the north to south there along the state line. But right now, the Weather Service in Birmingham, mostly what we're seeing these severe thunderstorm warnings, but I just want to stress, severe thunderstorm warning does include the possibility of a tornado. So we need to keep that in mind, that those kind of winds, and sometimes these straight line winds can be as strong as a low-end tornado. Here's what I need you to do. If you're in Marion County, again, we say all the time, stay away from windows. Get to the interior portion of your home. Phone a friend, phone a relative. Let them know that we have warnings happening. It's late at night. We're a lot of us still on vacation for the holidays. Let folks know what we're dealing with here tonight. Help spread the word, because we do have one of these late night setups here, and now's not the time to be in a vehicle. Vehicle not a safe alternative. Not a safe alternative to be in a mobile home. A lot of times with these mobile homes, it's often the tie-down structures and the way those homes are anchored that sometimes causes structural integrity issues. And that's why we often say when it comes to a tornado to make sure that you avoid a mobile home, manufactured home, and you are in a site-built structure, preferably during a time like this. There's someone you can stay with, until this storm passes. But I often mention as well, basement. If you don't have a basement, find an interior room. But the big thing, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And a lot of times, I've seen a lot of these tornado events, and I saw some video earlier this year. Actually, Lauren was with me, and it was a tornado with Hurricane Milton that happened in Florida. It was a cul-de-sac, and on one side of the street, homes were damaged. On the other side of the street, not a single home was touched. And that tornado didn't just suddenly intensify as it crossed the street. What happens, the wind actually collapsed the garage door, got into the home, and that's what caused the damage. So a lot of times it's the wind, and it's some of these structural integrity issues with things like garage doors. When the wind gets into the home, that's why we say try to get away from that. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. But a lot of research going into events like this, and I know sometimes it's hard to kind of wrap our mind around it. You'll see one home with damage, another home that's not even touched. But hopefully out of this tonight, we won't have any damage. The good news is so far, I'm not seeing any damage reports from the EMA in Lamar County. But listen, we're going to stay on this. We're going to stay on top of this throughout the night. Just keep it right here. The good news is we'll be able to clear away more counties. It looks like some of the worst of this is now pushing through Lamar County. So at least for that area, we'll be able to clear that county. And another positive is things are kind of evolving faster tonight. So hopefully we'll be able to wrap this entire event up sooner rather than later. I want to send it back over to Lauren. Also here in the Weather Center, keeping a watch on all these communication channels that we have. We have the storm tracker, by the way, in West Alabama. I think it would be a good idea to check in with our team we have positioned there. We have Ryan Carty was noting that earlier, Lauren, in Meridian, Mississippi, they were of course sounding the outdoor warning sirens for some of those tornado warnings happening there.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear them. As we were talking about earlier, as Brady was telling us earlier in the show and talking with Tania, you don't want to rely on those outdoor warning sirens because they were initially built for you to be outside. I don't know about you, when it's storming and it's rainy, you aren't going to catch me outside. So you want to make sure, hopefully you got an alert on your phone from the WBRC weather app or something like your NOAA weather radio. Let's reset the view here so we can get an idea of what we're working with. I will tell you, we just got in a report on the National Weather Service chat from the EMA in Lamar County, and there are some reports of trees and power lines down near Furnace Hill. So if anyone in the newsroom is listening, somewhere in Lamar County may be a good idea to send the storm tracker eventually, or in some of these areas where we're seeing the storms approaching. But you can see what the National Weather Service is having to do. Even apart from that one tornado warning that is in place in Marion County, they are having to basically blanket our area with individual severe thunderstorm warnings. But it looks like almost just one big yellow polygon. But that is a testament to the type of severe threat we're dealing with. As Wes was saying, this is called a quasi-linear convective system. I know it's a mouthful, but we call it a QLCS. Bottom line, it's a messy squall line. And so what can happen when you get this feature to develop is you can see an issue with straight line winds. And so when you have straight line winds, that's talking winds on the order of 60+ miles per hour. And that's why the National Weather Service has issued these severe thunderstorm warnings to indicate that, hey, if you're somewhere like Walker County, Winston County, where we are now seeing severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, or any of the other areas under these severe thunderstorm warnings, you are going to be under the gun for, as these storms come through, to produce straight line winds. And sometimes straight line winds can produce damage that is similar or on par with an EF0, EF1, considered a weak tornado. So if you have a severe thunderstorm warning issued for your area, like we do in Walker County and Winston County, these are both in effect until 11:15 p.m. Central Time, go ahead and go to your safe space, especially if you have a lot of trees in your yard. So as Wes was mentioning, you know, we've been talking about, as we look at the structure of this, what you'll especially note where we have the tornado warning and the severe thunderstorm warnings extending from Marion down into Fayette and now moving out of Lamar County, is you have this bowing structure, and that will indicate the potential for damaging winds. So even if we don't have a formal tornado on the ground anymore in Marion County, there could still be some straight line wind damage as these winds become really intense as this messy squall line type feature moves through. We'll take a check here on the winds within side of the storm. Green, when you see the green, those are winds moving towards the Columbus, Mississippi radar site, and the red indicates winds blowing away from the Columbus, Mississippi radar site. If you have a situation where they get right on top of each other, almost looks like a little kink in the line, that can indicate you have that rotation that could potentially be a tornado. Unfortunately, with these type of systems, it's really hard to pick up on those because they just spin up very quickly. But what I can tell you, even if we don't still have a formal tornado in place, we are getting some strong wind gusts. We'll go ahead and put some first alert times on this. You can see Brookside, this moving in at 10:09, Rock City 10:10, Gold Mine 10:11, and Piney Grove at 10:14, West. So I'm not seeing necessarily that tighter rotation that we saw earlier. It really looks more now that we're dealing with the potential for some straight line wind damage in Marion and Winston counties.
Okay, Lauren, and we can certainly see that Lamar County has been cleared of that tornado warning at this time. So where we're likely seeing maybe a little bit of rotation in there, if we still have that, as Lauren noted, we continue to see that rotation that it comes and it goes along this line. If we can take this full screen here, there we go, so folks can see at home. Right in this area, you can see some of those straight line winds are possible there from near Hamilton all the way to Pierce's Mill back to Brilliant. And Lauren, it looks like right in this area, let's check this out. I know we're under a tornado warning here around Brilliant as well. Looks like maybe a little bit of a circulation trying to happen in this area as well. So we could see some of those stronger winds really starting to kick up here around Brilliant in the Gold Mine area. If this is around County Highway 8, so around Brilliant, if you're anywhere in Marion County with a line like this, I mean, trying to go through and find these little circulations that are in there, these QLCS wintertime kind of setups that we deal with, sometimes you have a tornado and it may last maybe a matter of seconds. It may last less than a minute, but the thing is we have a large wall of winds that could be gusting up to 70 miles per hour that are now crossing Marion County. But Brilliant area, stay in your safe place. Gold Mine area as well. Let's back this view out just a little bit. Again, we're zoomed in over Marion County for a tornado warning, but we have those strong straight line winds now approaching Piney Grove. There's Highway 129. Here's Pierce's Mills area. There's Highway 278. Again, it looks like, where's Hamilton with respect to this? I want to see for our folks here in Hamilton. Okay, so Hamilton, some of those stronger winds have now pushed through, but it looks like this was that one area that we were watching that moved through Beaverton earlier. That's now approaching. Looks like the way that's moving, that's towards Marion County Highway 49 and also towards Pleasant Hill Church there. So if you're watching me around Pleasant Hill Church as well, you are also where we might be seeing some of that rotation happening here in Marion County. But this is a lot of wind right now, a straight line wind gust that's tracking towards Bear Creek, Hackleburg, so making sure you have the first alert. All right, I want to reset the stage here. I want to go to one of the big picture views that we have across the state of Alabama and just show you this line here. Again, we have basically just a line of severe storms. All these storms are severe. You can clearly tell why this one is getting our attention here across Marion County. Look at that, almost like an arrow, as Lauren noted, just pointing out there as that moves in. We have some rain out ahead of this. This is that surge of warm, unstable air that's moving in, and we will see this also across East Alabama. I know we're not under a watch for places like Anniston right now, but keep in mind later on tonight we might see more watches issued for the eastern part of the state. But that line of storms right now pushing through Pickens County, approaching Tuscaloosa. So if you're watching me around Coker, the Hallman area, Moore's Bridge, just listen if you're in Berry as well, New Lexington. Those are some locations there. That line is approaching in the city of Fayette. Line of severe storms approaching. Sumter County very soon. We'll be able to sound the all clear, and we're looking at maybe 30 minutes to an hour here. We'll be able to sound as far as any severe weather risk. We'll be able to trim away some counties there in like Pickens and Lamar counties as this moves on to the east. But now Greene County and Utah, another area. Lauren, let's check out the southern end of this line, because you know this is one of the areas you go further south. I want to check in on Utah, Greene County. That's one location where we're really concerned about a tornado threat down in the southwest part of the area. That's where we had that moderate, rare level 4 out of 5 moderate risk for severe weather that was issued. Now Tuscaloosa County, there we go under a severe thunderstorm warning. Let me get the time on that for you there in Tuscaloosa. What was that, Lauren? 11. Okay, there we go. We got to have it on the screen, 11:15. But the Weather Service also noting that weak circulation that we're seeing around Brilliant in Marion County. So we're on top of it there in Marion County. We're going to go back to that here quickly, but I just want to examine. We need to take a close look at some of this to the south here. Let's bring in some of the rotation data. And a couple areas need to kind of watch in here along this line. There might be some brief circulations trying to form as that moves to the east. So basically this one little comma head, as we call it, right here to the north, that's where we have most of our problems out of this line, and that is pushing now in towards Brilliant, and actually it passed north of Brilliant. Now it's right here. See, right there's a little bit of rotation, a little circulation. That's not far from the White House community, Thornhill, Natural Bridge. That is going to stay to the west of you. That is going to track from Sunny Home community to Thornhill. Haleyville, however, stand by, because we might be impacted if this continues to intensify. But see that little circulation right there, some strong winds that's approaching right there around Haleyville. So giving you the first alert. If you're watching me in the northwestern part of Winston County, stay with us right here as we're going to keep a close track on this as that line approaches. Again, for other parts of the area, I mentioned central, eastern Alabama at this time, just a lot of rain. No severe weather. The main focus and the main show is going to be along this line. So once this passes, it's over. So that's the good thing, is we will be able to start to clear away. And you can actually see how the warnings are being trimmed away as well. The National Weather Service right there holding on. And this is more of a linear line here, which is mostly just straight line winds, likely what we're going to see as this moves into Marengo and Hale and Tuscaloosa counties right now, based on what we're seeing. Very strong indications of some gusty winds out of this around Hamilton, and as Lauren noted, we do have some reports of some trees down there in Marion County. It looks like reports of multiple power lines and power poles down around County Highway. Let me check this out here. County Highway 58 in Guin. So we've got multiple power lines, power poles down around County Highway 58 in Guin. So some folks there without power right now. State line on US 11 and Highway 80. This is for a tree down with some power lines and a vehicle involved. This was likely right across the state line in Mississippi. So we're seeing some reports there. That's actually from Sumter County, Christopher Vaughn there in Sumter County. So getting some reports, some of our EMA teams out there across the state of Alabama doing an incredible job as well this weekend, passing along information. But Jason Davis with the National Weather Service also sending some reports in. They're monitoring the radar closely, talking about that circulation that's happening there in Marengo County. Lauren, that storm over Marion County right now, I was just noticing, let's go to that latest scan. Right in this area, that really has my attention here near Hackleburg. You see this? Let's check that out. Let's go to the velocity data and take a close look. Folks that are in Franklin and Colbert counties here to the north, certainly need to pay close attention. I know we have a lot of folks here that watch us in some of these counties outside the Birmingham DMA, but I'm just letting you know if you're following along on our stream online, if you're listening to us, we're on Clear Channel radio stations across the state of Alabama. We're on the Calhoun County EMA stations, but you can find us on the radio as well, so I know folks are listening in here across West Alabama. And just to let you know, if you're in places like Phil Campbell, if you're in Hackleburg, this looks rather nasty on the radar. We go over to kind of look into this line of storms, and we bring out some of the wind data. Doesn't look quite as intense as what the reflectivity looks like. So again, just some things I'm observing here, just watching this. These are little suspicious areas when you have these lines of storms in the wintertime. Right there around Hackleburg, looks like we might have an area with some strong winds, maybe a little bit of rotation happening there as well. But tornado warning does stay in effect here for Hackleburg to Bear Creek. Again, a lot of areas included in this because we are seeing those little areas where if not a tornado, we're still seeing some strong winds that could be just as strong as a small tornado. So the warning for Marion County will continue now, the Weather Service says, until 10:30 p.m. Watching this line now approaching Lake Buttahatchee around the Hackleburg area to the north. And then mostly we're now seeing, is Winston County included now? Looks like in a severe thunderstorm warning, I believe.
Yes.
So yes, okay, so now Winston and Walker counties now included in a severe thunderstorm warning. So your weather radios, again, going off in Double Springs, places like Jasper. And listen, a severe thunderstorm warning is a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's a little bit different on a night like this, and the reason I say that is because you deal with these lines of storms, and a lot of times it's very difficult to identify a tornado in something like this. So it's kind of looped in with a severe thunderstorm warning, the possibility of an isolated tornado. So just keep that in mind. This is, if you receive a severe thunderstorm warning, go to your tornado safe place. This is not a situation where you want to treat this as hop in the car, drive somewhere. Right now, if these storms are imminent, they're approaching your area, they're on top of you, you need to be getting to that center part of your home. And let's, as this line moves through, because Lauren, we're getting some strong winds out of this. And again, I was noticing, let's go back to the view. We have live views across the state of Alabama. This is Pickens County at this time, and it looks like the rain's starting to back off there. I've just been watching some of the wind speeds here, so not too bad. Around 11 miles per hour. The temperature really jumped up. Our weather watcher in Marion County, Lauren Marla Minter, said it was the warmest it's been all day tonight, and we probably have some areas out there where we're warming up into the 70s. But I'll throw it back over to you because I know you're also following along here, and it just looks like mostly we're going to be seeing a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings out of this, especially for areas further south.
Yeah, Wes, you look at this type of structure and you're like, okay, the tornado warning the tornado potential may be a little bit more limited in comparison to the straight line wind damage, but you still don't want to discount that you can see those little brief spin ups along the line. And even a brief spin up, if it's on the ground for less than a minute, if it still hits somewhere, it can cause damage, right? So you want to watch this closely. I will say I was looking at the National Weather Service chat, and they were noting that as this particular part of the line came through Lamar County, it was actually dropping some pea-sized hail mixed in with the rain. Now, pea-sized hail, that's not severe, but just kind of a testament to the dynamics that are associated with this system as it's going through. As we zoom into this severe thunderstorm warning, you can see to the south of Utah with this particular severe thunderstorm warning in effect in Greene County until 10:15 p.m. Central Time. What I want you to note is this bright purple, that fuchsia color that's showing up here. This is approaching Highway 43, and we were talking about maybe this is the area where you could see some hail falling, where you see that higher reflectivity showing up here, those pink colors. There could be some hail embedded within a hail core, embedded within this part of the storm. So this particular part, we actually have a little arrow where we can track the timing on this and give you some first alert times. Could potentially see some pea-sized hail associated with this part of the line moving into Utah at 10:25 p.m. A first alert moving towards Dara at 10:31 p.m. and Evansville at 10:33 p.m. So our main issue with this line as it comes through looks to be a straight line wind threat. And as we continue to say, hey, straight line winds can sometimes be on par with low end tornado damage. So So you want to treat severe thunderstorm warnings, which we are seeing a lot of them along this line, just as you would a tornado warning. You go to that safe spot away from windows in an interior room on that lowest level, especially if you have some big trees in your yard, because as we have some damaging winds along this system, that can certainly cause some trees to come down. But I will say that severe thunderstorm warning that was in place for Greene County up into Pickens County, Sumter County, Lamar County have now been cleared of severe warnings. Now, is the weather over with tonight? No, but I think that severe threat is coming to an end as this line pushes eastward, coming to an end for these far western counties. You'll notice, though, there is some rain on the backside of this in East Mississippi. This is going to be filling in behind the squall line as it moves through, that messy squall line. And so you'll continue to see rain tonight, but the worst of the weather now is beginning to approach areas getting a little closer to that I-65 corridor. Not quite there yet, but I'm going to circle some of the spots that we're seeing this line coming. Jasper, Tuscaloosa, Marion, Demopolis, you're getting the brunt of it right now. This is moving towards you as we speak. So as this moves through, the main issue is going to be that potential for some straight line wind damage and of course very heavy downpours, and these are likely going to be some booming thunderstorms. Now we're tracking that main line. Ahead of this, we're seeing kind of a messy situation, non-severe, but plenty of rain falling across the Birmingham metro, down south to Hoover, Alabaster along that I-65 corridor, and in East Alabama as well. Some light to moderate rain, and we're actually still on the Columbus radar site, so I'll switch over to the Birmingham radar site so we can get a clearer picture. I'll turn on our lightning tracker. You'll notice that's still within this view that is sub-severe. We're still getting some intense lightning, but as Wes was mentioning, a lot of this that we're seeing here are elevated thunderstorms. So sometimes when you have those elevated thunderstorms, the thunder can be more intense because there's what we call a temperature inversion in the atmosphere, and that can allow it to be louder with that thunder. But as we look at the view here, reset, just getting an idea of where we are seeing those severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have one tornado warning in effect, and this is in Marion County. But Wes, I was just looking at the National Weather Service, and it does appear that they are not going to be continuing this tornado warning into Winston County. So that's some promising news, but we still have to watch out for that straight line wind threat as it moves in.
Okay, and it looks like, Lauren, we're going to continue this severe thunderstorm warning for Marion and Fayette counties until 10:45. So that will continue until 10:45. So we will see the tornado warning expire, and you can see it's very difficult in here. There's not just one area that stands out. Mostly what we're seeing is just a lot of wind in here and some straight line wind gusts with this. That's now approaching it. This is now pushing into Haleyville. So just stand by and listen. This will be over soon. Okay, this is going to pass through fairly quickly. That's the good thing out of this. You know, at one point it looked like this may come in several waves. We might have had an afternoon round of storms. That didn't happen, thankfully, and now we have this final push. This is the main round tonight. Once this passes, threat is over. Hackleburg looks like we're going to be in good shape as far as heaviest of the rains now pushing to the north, and the leading edge of that line is now pushing in towards Haleyville and the Bortush area. One thing, you know, you look at the lightning here. It's not off the charts. I mean, we're not seeing some just extreme lightning out of this, and a lot of times when you see that lightning really start to intensify, that's often a red flag. I say, okay, we got to watch this for a possible tornado trying to form. But looking at the setup out there tonight, again, you can see it's mostly just a straight line winds that we're seeing for a lot of areas at this time. Lynn, Natural Bridge. Now, this is becoming more of a Winston County threat here to the north. But listen, let's go south. We've got a lot of areas we need to cover here. Let's go into Walker County. Carbon Hill now approaching. Carbon Hill, this is not a tornado. Mostly what I'm seeing right now, some strong straight line winds. You can see Slick Lizard. There's an area, Lauren. I don't believe we need to familiarize you with Nauvoo and Slick Lizard there. But you can see another area here over Walker County. But what's going on is you got this south wind out ahead of the main line, and you get these little cells that develop, and that's actually moving north, kind of running right along the line. And sometimes that's where you can end up with some brief rotation. But mostly straight line winds, some lightning though with this, some heavy rain about to impact us here. Carbon Hill Elementary School. I was there not too long ago. That's an area that's going to be impacted. Here's Saragossa. Jasper's back behind me, back in here. So Jasper area, we still have a little while before this reaches us, but we are under a severe thunderstorm warning. So you have plenty of time right now to get to the safe spot, a sturdy shelter as this line approaches, just in case this thing tries to generate a brief tornado. We need to monitor for that as this tracks onto the east. But that Walker County warning set to go until 11:15. 11:15. Things are moving along faster tonight, which is a good thing, but this is around 11:15, that line approaching us here in Walker County. But that line now approaching Berry. Fayette, looks like the worst of this has now passed Fayette, now moving into Hubbardsville, home of the Hubbardsville Lions, right there to the north, Hubbardsville. There's Berry. Boley Springs now tracking in your direction, the Pea Ridge area. Oatman, right there is Oatman in Walker County. You're still about probably 20-30 minutes from this impacting you with those straight line winds. Let's take it on down into Tuscaloosa County. For folks watching us out around, there's Lake Tuscaloosa right here, north side, Samantha Volunteer Fire Department, those areas. It's closing in on you right now. Just looking at this, we need to watch this little area here and see what happens. This is going to be tracking towards the north and east. Let's take a close look at this on velocity, Lauren, see if we have any signatures of rotation. And right now looks mostly like straight line winds based on what I'm seeing. But it's kicking up some strong wind gusts right there as this moves into Tuscaloosa County, especially right in here. This is going to be lifting in this direction here. So Tuscaloosa, if you're watching me around Flatwoods Elementary School area, County High, Tuscaloosa EMA's right in this area. These stronger wind gusts are going to move in your direction here, moving northeast at 54 miles per hour, and some first alert times. Let's put some of those on the screen for you here. If you're in Elrod, 1036, 1037 for Buell, and Forest Green Park area around 1037. So that's the leading edge of some of those stronger wind gusts approaching your area. But it's a severe storm warning that we have. This does include the entire county. So if you're watching me anywhere from Abernat, Brookwood, all the way to Coker, Alabama, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning. But we're going to watch this as this crosses Tuscaloosa and right there around the UA campus. Further south, looks like Greene County has actually been cleared of the severe thunderstorm warning. So the worst of this has now pushed through, and this is an area right here, Lauren. I was really concerned to the south. We had more of that instability. Let's take a close look at some of the data and need to watch right in this area. Let's see, there's Wedgeworth. So this is Highway 14. Greensboro is right here. There's Havana Groceries right there. So the way this is tracking, maybe just south of Havana. Need to keep an eye on this area here. That looks a little suspicious to me at this point. We're under a severe thunderstorm warning, but we need to watch it. Looks like maybe some broad rotation there showing up south of Moundville, but an area. This is south of Akron, by the way, and I know that's an area, Utah, Akron, we've called out quite often the past few years for severe weather, but we're not under a tornado warning. We're under a severe thunderstorm warning, but just know that this could go to a tornado warning at any moment because we're under a watch at this time. So we're under a tornado watch that will continue until 4 o'clock in the morning. But here are some times, and Lauren has placed those on the screen. So here is your first alert for what to expect. You can expect some wind gusts over 58 miles per hour, maybe some small hail with this, but a lot of wind, a lot of rain as this moves through. New Prospect around 1033, Havana area around 1041, Cypress around 1044. And it won't take long for this to pass by. So just giving you some times of arrival. BTI on this is about a 4.1, so on a scale of 0 to 10, that is sort of our threat indicator. So anytime we see that number jump up above a 3, certainly a signal that this is a severe storm capable of producing some damage. And you can see some of the velocity data estimating. Of course, this is more elevated higher up in the atmosphere, but we're seeing some estimates there showing 60, 70 mile per hour winds out of that line. Further south we go into Marengo County and Demopolis under a severe thunderstorm warning, but the worst of this looks like it has passed Demopolis. It's closer to places like Gallion, south of Greensboro, if you're watching me, over around the Ritchie's processing area, New Bern, Sunshine, Laneville areas there, Highway 69, Highway 43 south. All those areas you're dealing with mostly straight line winds right now. A lot of catfish and farms down in this area here down in Hale County. Let's go back to the wide view. I want to take a close look at the radar again. For folks watching me right now, if you're in Birmingham, we do have some heavy rain moving through. Another thing we need to watch out for, some localized flooding with some of this rain. It's because it's moving more south than north. But I like to see, notice how we're seeing more rain back to the east, and the more of this wet weather that happens, there's a chance that this could hopefully help to sort of stabilize things. It may help to kind of pinch off the more unstable air back to the south. So hopefully that happens. And that's the thing, you know, a lot of times it takes, you've got to get into the event to see how it's actually going to evolve. We can have all these ingredients that point towards severe weather, but sometimes you just don't know. It's like, you know, when we forecast snow, you have to see where that rain-snow line is exactly going to set up. And it's when we start to see this rain evolve like this, that can impact the environment and for the better. So hopefully that will help us out if we see more of this rain really start to ramp up to the east. But all the counties in the watch, that does include Blount, St. Clair, Talladega County. So if you're watching, I know that's east of Birmingham, but you are under the watch until 4 o'clock in the morning. We may see, again, I mentioned more counties may be added as this moves on through later on tonight. But clearly we have the classic. If we had to look at a textbook severe weather threat here this time of the year, we see this often. We call these QLCS, because they're quasi-linear lines. It's not just a solid line. Sometimes we get these little bowing segments, but you can see little areas in here where we might see a tornado still trying to form. Good news is Marion County, and I'll say if you're in Sumter and Pickens County, we can sound the all clear for you. Even though we have some rain, some rumbles, the worst of the weather has passed your area. So the severe weather threat has ended for you. Again, Lamar and now Marion County. Get some rest. Severe threat is over for you. This is now more of a Winston County, Walker, parts of Fayette, Tuscaloosa threat, and very soon we'll likely see Coleman, even Jefferson County included. But there's that area that we were talking about right there, Lauren. What are you seeing with this?
Wes, you know, I'm just noticing this area that is under the severe thunderstorm warning in Hale County. You're beginning to see that little inflow coming in. As you were mentioning, we've got these warm southeasterly winds that are helping to feed this severe threat that we've been seeing. We've been talking about this wedge of cooler air that's been really stubborn over the past few days, especially in East Alabama, and it's really been preventing us from warming up and really preventing temperatures from getting as high as forecast. But now we're beginning to see that warmer air lifting north, and that is being ingested into the storm here right around Evansville and Akron and Wedgeworth. And as that is coming in, that's beginning to amp up this storm. So what we're noticing is that potential for some damaging winds just south of that little notch. And these damaging winds that you're seeing from Melton are headed towards areas like Harper Hill, Greensboro, Water Oak, Brush Creek. And this is generally moving off to the north and east. But we mentioned that earlier. I forget which county it was. I think it was Greene or Hale County. There was a part of the storm that had come through, or no, it was Sumter County, I think, that we had seen some pea-sized hail with some of this. So where you're seeing the pink showing up around Melton, Wedgeworth, Evansville, Dara, that could indicate that within this, not only are you seeing some strong wind gusts, but there could be some hail associated with this as well as it pushes to the northeast. So I would say this is probably the most intense part of the line and the part of the line that we want to keep a close eye on for any potential rotation. So we'll put some first alert times, or at least circle some areas that we need to keep an eye on this. If you're in Harper Hill, Havana, right along Highway 69, Cypress, and this is in Hill County, Phipps, Hogglesville, in these areas, remember, treat this like a tornado warning, because a severe thunderstorm warning, it can have intense damaging winds along it, those straight line winds that can sometimes be on par with a lower end tornado. So this is lifting off to the northeast right now. We'll zoom out the view here to see if we get a better idea of any other areas along the line to watch. I would just note that, as Wes was saying, I think something promising, that as this advances eastward, you got a lot of rain out ahead of this. We've been talking about how one of the limiting factors with this system could be the possibility that if you get rain ahead of the main line, that can help to cool and stabilize the atmosphere. Now, we finally had some warmer air get a little further to the north, but when you have that rain coming down, it can really help to limit that severe threat. But you notice this rain is areas further to the east. Here, didn't quite have that luxury in West Alabama, so this is an area that hasn't been quite as contaminated by the rain, so to speak. So this is where we need to watch in areas where we have these severe thunderstorm warnings in place, like Winston County, Walker County, Fayette County, Tuscaloosa County, down into Hale County. This is where the most intense part of the line is moving through right now. And if you have heard your alarm go off on your phone, an alert from your First Alert weather app or the NOAA weather radio for severe thunderstorm warning, you know, hey, these winds can be pretty intense. I need to go to my safe space in an interior room away from windows, and certainly away from anywhere where maybe there's a large tree just outside of the house. And I'm just looking now with our National Weather Service chat with some of the reports that we're getting in. This was earlier, let's see, around York. It looks like there have been some trees reported down on Shorter Avenue and also on Patton Road in Alabama 28. And some are unfortunately wrapped in power lines. So we are seeing some spotty wind damage here and there, but I definitely think we need to keep a close eye on these little notches along the line, because it's within these little notches along the line that you can see those brief spin ups, which is typical with this type of system. As Wes has been saying, you can see these a lot with late fall, early winter events where you get that kind of battleground between the cold and warm air. This is our secondary severe season, Wes, so we always got to keep an eye on even these little spin ups along the line can cause some damage.
Yeah, that's right, Lauren. And what we're going to try to do is check in with, we have a team in Tuscaloosa in the First Alert Storm Tracker, and hopefully we can go to them and get some just some ground truth, what we're seeing in Tuscaloosa. I had some weather watcher reports suggesting the temperatures over 65 degrees out there, some of the warmest weather of the day that we're starting to see out there tonight. So that's feeding these storms that's happening out there. But this line is now approaching Tuscaloosa. So we'll check in, and let's go right now. Do we have the storm tracker? Can we just take the view? We could actually split the screen and go to... Okay, all right, so we lost a shot there. So we're going to try to go to them. This area, we're zoomed in on this because we're seeing some circulation right now around Harper Hill, okay? This is just south of Havana Junction's right here. There's Highway 60. This is State Highway 69 south. Melville's to the north, Tuscaloosa's to the north. But there's some circulation in here, and it's about to cross right at Harper Hill, right in this area. This is going to track over towards Liberty Church and the Ingram area and the Phipps area as well. Lake Payne's back in this part of Hale County as well. So anywhere from Ingram, Phipps to Lake Payne, if you live out in these areas, stay alert for the possibility of a warning. Let's see what happens with this. There it is, it's trying to spin here as it moves to the north. You can see it, but we're certainly going to have some strong straight line wind gust out of this. This has passed Utah, by the way. This is tracking more towards the east. This is now east of Utah. Akron, you're in the clear. The way this is tracking, this is right there between Highway 60 and Highway 69 around Havana. This is also Big Creeks down in this area, 5 Mile Creek. This is going to be just north of there, and it's going to be tracking right around Harper Hill. So if you're watching me south of Westervelt Sawmill below Melville, those are areas being impacted around Harper Hill at this time. There's Havana Junction and the Havana Groceries right there. So this is just south of you, and it's going to track out here towards Liberty Church, which is right in this area here. Folks know what I'm talking about there in Hale County. So that is, if I had one area that I'm concerned about, maybe a warning popping up, is this area Lauren has us zoomed in on here across Hale County. Let's go back to the big picture. Again, we do have storms now approaching Tuscaloosa, and we'll go back over to our First Alert Sky Vision, and this is a live look from the Tuscaloosa Amphitheater. We're looking back off towards the south and east direction there, but just we'll see if we can get an idea here of if we're seeing any lightning starting to pick up there in the Tuscaloosa area. Haven't seen much lighting in areas to the north. Let's go over to a view looking more towards the west direction. Let's see if we can bring in that view that we have at the river market that we have in Tuscaloosa. See if we can go to that view, and we'll try to bring that up. Lauren, you may need to go over and adjust the camera. See if we can we have other camera views across the state, but just kind of get an idea of what we're seeing in Tuscaloosa. But obviously the heaviest rain has not reached the city of Tuscaloosa just yet. But temperature up to 67 degrees out there, so not quite to 70 just yet, but we are certainly warming up at this time. So just let me know, Lauren, when you pull that up. We'll go back to radar. And again, this is the big picture. A lot of rain around Birmingham. This is not severe, what you're seeing right now around Birmingham, Gardendale area. Hopefully this rain that's happening in this area will help limit the severity. There we go back to the view, and looking back to the west, you can see some of those low clouds there overlooking the Warrior River. Again, we're looking back to the west direction from the river market in Tuscaloosa, but you can see a lot of clouds out there. 67 degrees, south wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but here comes the rain now starting to pick up. You can see right there in the light of the camera view, but not seeing intense winds at the moment, so that is a very good sign. So hopefully that trend will continue. Looks like a new warning for Dallas and Perry County. Severe thunderstorm warning has been issued, and that will go until 11:45. So right now, getting some reports in. Our weather watcher in Marion County said highest wind gust 30 miles per hour, Lauren, in Hamilton as that moved through. So that's a good sign. Did not lose electricity. But that's Marla Minter there reporting. Said the rotation passed very close to that area. So right now, Weather Service is keeping an eye on that line that we're tracking across Hale County. Said a big concern in here for some wind gusts up to 60, 70 miles per hour from Greensboro to Moundville. There's going to be some strong straight line winds. There's a Cypress community. The Powers community is, I'm pointing at, there's Powers. Here is, let's see, Harper Hill, Havana. Lock 8 is going to be in this area. There's Akron and getting some of that heavy rain right now around Akron and Lock 8, but the strongest winds are going to be right now approaching Stewart. And that's approaching Cypress, Powers, and Moundville and Havana. Could have some 60-plus mile-per-hour winds, and if that continues, some of those stronger winds are going to lift in here towards Duncanville as well. So again, South Tuscaloosa, I'm giving you the first alert here for that line. It's going to be tracking to the north, but Phipps, Havana, Moundville areas, probably some of the strongest winds that we see right now out of this entire line based on the way this radar is behaving. Lamar EMA reporting, looks like maybe some structural damage on County Road 34 in Lamar County. So Lauren, we might need to investigate that from earlier. So we're starting to see some of those reports slowly come in here, and that's Lamar County from that tornado warning that we had earlier tonight. But the good news is things are moving a little faster than what some of the models had suggested earlier. So hopefully, as we go through the next few hours here, we'll see these conditions start to improve across our area. Right now, the line moving through Tuscaloosa into Hale County, and there we are. Lauren still zoomed in where we have a little bit of circulation. That is right at Havana Junction. So around the Phipps area, Harper Hill, Havana Junction, still seeing a little bit of some broad rotation in that area, but that is crossing northern Hale County. Definitely getting some strong winds in here, Lauren. Let's go to the triple threat, take a look at that, and see what we're seeing there on some of those strong winds. And seeing indications we might have some small hail in here as well, in addition to some real heavy rain right along that line as well. What's the lightning count on this at the moment? Lightning, yeah, we're seeing about 18, yeah, seeing a few strikes. So we got some rumbles with this as well as it moves on. Sometimes, you know, we'll get these areas of rotation in the winter, and these low top systems, you won't see quite as much hail or lightning with some of these, but just mostly a lot of wind. But a lot of wind across Hale County. Let's go back to Tuscaloosa. I want to get in here close. Some of that heaviest rain now approaching the city. Let's zoom in right now to the city of Tuscaloosa. Get in here around Northport, and we'll bring in some of the radar data. And this is mostly just straight line winds that we're seeing, but now the heaviest of the rain now approaching, starting to really pick up here around Northport. There's Tuscaloosa and Northport. Right now, looks like we're seeing a lot of rain happening around Coker, but some of the worst of this is almost, you can see that darker red. You're not looking at wind here, you're just looking at heavy rain here on the radar. So the heaviest of the rain about to taper off there, it looks like, and just a lighter, steadier rain that's going to continue for the remainder of the night. But that severe weather risk is coming to an end for these areas like Coker, back towards Buell. But here we go. We can put some first alert times on this. Some of these cores where we have the heavier rain, some gusty winds along this line, and just to show you some areas impacted. Again, this is now, well, let's see, we're right now at 10:38, so this is closing in on these locations. I mean, if you're in Monroe Estates, Taylorville, if you're in Pearson Subdivision, I mentioned to the north around Flatwoods Elementary School, those areas, Mitt-Larry Road, all the way over to Highway 69, all those communities. A lot of rain, a lot of wind for us here in Tuscaloosa right now. So Tuscaloosa City and Northport is just wind and rain moving northeast at 47 miles per hour, some of this heavier rainfall. So we've seen motion from 40 to anywhere from 40 to 60 miles per hour with this line, and it has been moving very, very quickly for tonight. A little bit of lightning in here, but mostly a lot of rainfall. And Lauren, did you have some information you needed to pass along?
Wes, I'm not seeing anything immediately. I think you had mentioned that we are seeing some damage along County Road 34 in Vernon. That's kind of where we're seeing a lot of the damage reports coming in. It's from Lamar County. Okay. So Lamar County seems to kind of be the main area, and that's where we did have that tornado warning. Yep. Whether it ended up being tornado damage or straight line wind damage, definitely need to watch there as well. And just continuing to watch really this one area that we're keeping an eye on in well, this is actually, okay, checking the view here, Tuscaloosa County, but Wes, check this out. We're beginning to see a shear marker on this area down in Hill County.
Yeah, this Hill County storm right here, listen, if you're watching me in Havana, right around Havana Junction, Highway 69, and those areas, I want you in your tornado safe place right now. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's like we have the kind of winds that you would see, right, Lauren, with a low wind tornado in these kind of environments. So you need to be in a site-built structure, your safe place. I would be there, and this will pass very quickly. But we're seeing some off and on signs that this is trying to spin up in this area. But I just want to make sure you have the first alert and you're out ahead of this. Again, just in case we do see this upgraded to a tornado warning, that one location right there, the Weather Service is also watching it. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning, but that's not to say we can't have the kind of winds that can produce some major damage. So again, North Hill County right now, this is north of you. If you're watching me in Greensboro, I'm talking about northern Hill County. This would be impact places like Phipps and over towards Lake Payne and those areas. Perhaps Melville, some of those gusty winds right around Mountain State Park pushing in from the south direction. So my friends there around Melville want to make sure that you are also in your safe place at this time. Do we have the storm tracker available? I know we're tracked. Okay. So we're having some difficulty because of the weather, obviously establishing a signal with the first alert storm tracker, but okay. So they're actually responding to where we had some of that damage in Lamar County. So we'll have some of that information to pass along for you. So they're out traveling in those areas. Let's go back to full screen here and want to take a look at the radar as we go back to base reflectivity and expand the view across the entire coverage area. And you can see right now we have basically just every county along that line of storms under a severe thunderstorm warning. And even you go into Morgan County and Marshall County areas in the North Alabama outside the coverage area, we're also seeing severe thunderstorm warnings. Lauderdale County, parts of Lauderdale County as well. So this is just sweeping across the state here tonight. And soon, this will be approaching places like Bessemer and Birmingham. Let's put this in the future radar mode, Lauren, and give folks out there some first alert times, and we'll take this out. We actually have some new technology here. This is some very cool stuff. This is forecast radar taking the current data and giving us a forecast 2 hours out. So very beneficial data, especially when we're tracking the possibility of a tornado, giving you a 2-hour advantage on where some of these storms could go. So let's go to the next 2 hours, and we'll take this. There's 11 o'clock. Let's take it on out to, we'll go to midnight. Stop it right there at midnight. So this is actually lining up with the forecast data we shared earlier. So it's showing close to midnight. Coleman, Birmingham, Gardendale. If you're watching me in Empire, Arley, Curry areas. Expect between now and midnight this line of storms to impact you. So if you're around Jones Chapel, around Smith Lake, Bessemer area, Oak Grove, Toadvine, Alliance, Pleasant Grove, all those communities there in Jefferson County will be impacted. West Blockton to Centerville. The worst of this by midnight will be through Tuscaloosa. Excuse me. So we will see some improving weather, just some leftover rain happening around the Tuscaloosa area just past midnight. But you can see the leading edge there, those storms approaching Birmingham to Coleman, Alabaster to Calera, down into Marion County as well for some of that heavier rain and storm activity by actually that's 12:43. It shows between midnight and 12:30 in the morning, some of the worst of this pushing through Gardendale, Birmingham, and Jefferson County and crossing that I-65 corridor. So a lot of our West Alabama counties will be cleared by 12:40, and hopefully by that time, Lauren, this line will start to weaken. Again, this is future radar that you're looking at. Now let's go. We actually have the loop pulled up here. We can show you this is the current setup, and you can see this line. And notice those little bends and curves that we're seeing right there around Hill County. That's the area we really got to pay close attention to with respect to a risk for a tornado. Areas to the north here also still seeing that little bowing segment that's pushing in more towards the Huntsville area. Looks like some of those strong winds there will approach Huntsville. A lot more lightning, though, as you can see on the tail end of this line. This is where we have some of that very unstable air. And it looks like the watch has been expanded down into the Montgomery area. But notice Hill County, Pickens, the watch has been canceled. Sumter County, Lamar, and Marion County, the watch has been canceled for you. So tornado watch has been canceled. We're staying with you here. It's 10:44. I know it's past news time, but it is a first alert weather day that is actually going to continue until this line of storms moves out of the state. But an impactful system tonight. This is going to bring some strong winds, some gusty winds, some heavy rainfall, some loud rumbles of thunder as it moves through. The good news is so far we haven't seen many tornado warnings. We've had a couple out of this, but the thing to keep in mind with tonight's setup is that the tornadoes are going to be very difficult to pinpoint with a radar because they're going to be so brief, and it's almost like we have those tropical setups sometimes and we have those brief warnings, but sometimes you see those areas of rotation and they go away in a few scans. So that's what we're kind of dealing with tonight. So we're seeing some of these broad severe thunderstorm warnings that may actually include the possibility of a tornado. So keep that in mind for the overnight hours. Live look from Lake Tuscaloosa at Pier 43. So Lauren, we're looking at the northern part of Tuscaloosa County. Anything you want to add here, because I know you're also monitoring the Weather Service. They were keeping a watch on that storm over Hale County as we are, and we'll hopefully very soon be able to sound the all clear. But look at the wind gusts there, 44-mile-per-hour gusts in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, Wes, we were just seeing that report as well of that gust from the Tuscaloosa airport. So the most intense part of this line is moving through Tuscaloosa County right now. So if you live anywhere within Tuscaloosa County, we're talking Tuscaloosa, Brookwood, Northport, Coaling. Just want to give you that first alert that the main issue you're going to be dealing with, in addition to some very heavy rain and possibly some lightning, are the potential for some strong wind gusts. So 44-mile-per-hour gusts doesn't equate necessarily a severe gust, but you still could see that potential along the line. So I will say, checking in with the National Weather Service, that area that we've been watching really closely down in Hale County for the potential of some spin up rotation, it's broadened out. So we're not as concerned with that anymore. We will watch though, we'll remove the lightning so it's not too cluttered here. I would still say just to the north of Phipps and east of Mountainville, and this is going to be approaching areas in Tuscaloosa County like Duncanville. We are still seeing these little notches along the line. It's those little notches that you have to watch for maybe a brief spin up, but either way, you see a little notch, just know that there's still going to be the possibility of some strong wind gusts with them. And we have been getting some reports of some pea-sized hail as well. When you look at this line and begin to see those bright pink fuchsia colors showing up, that could indicate there is some small hail embedded within the line. So areas like Huntland, Duncanville, Hagler, Coaling, this most intense part of the line in Hale County is now lifting to the north and east, so could be headed your way here shortly. And as we look over areas a little farther to the east in Eolan, we have just had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for your area. In Bibb County, this new severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until midnight. And so thus far, West Blockton, Centerville, pretty quiet. You may be beginning to hear some rumbles of thunder, but the worst of this line is still over in areas like Hale County and over into Tuscaloosa County. So as of right now, we're not seeing anything that stands out as a potential tornado embedded within the line, but you're just looking at the potential for some intense winds and some heavy downpours. So zooming out the view here, or backing out the view here, you'll notice that severe thunderstorm warnings are extending all the way down into central Alabama, really as far south as going closer to Mobile. And west, I was actually just noting as we look farther to our south, we actually do have some tornado warnings in southwest Alabama, and one that is confirmed north of Mobile. I'll switch to the Mobile radar, and that gives us a better idea. You can almost just see with this line how much more intense it is farther to the south and west. And one reason that is able to tap into that more unstable air that some of us have really had a difficulty getting a hold of today, but definitely intense with a confirmed tornado in Mobile County that's in effect until 11 p.m. It looks like it's north of Mobile proper, but right along that Highway 45 corridor if you have any friends or family down in southwest Alabama. And also we have another tornado warning showing up in Conecuh County. I think, yeah, like Conecuh sausage, I assume. Conecuh County, Alabama, and that's until 11:15 p.m. Central West.
Yeah, that's a nasty storm right there. I mean, that's one of those discrete storms that's out ahead of the line, and the way that's moving, I know with it being, again, it's the holidays, and if you have friends, have family in South Alabama, let me go back over to radar, but if you have folks in that area, call them, text them, let them know that there are some tornado warnings down in South Alabama. Not only tornado warnings, but confirmed tornado warnings around the Saraland area. But this is south of our area. Again, I just want to stress, but for folks tonight, late tonight, they need the alerts, and they need to be seeking shelter right now. But those are some dangerous storms. We're zoomed in. This is south of Monroeville. This is down in Conecuh County, Alabama. That is a tornado warning. And for folks down in these areas, we have sister stations WSFA and Fox 10 also out of Mobile. Those are our sister stations across. We have the state of Alabama covered up. We have SFA, we have AFF in the Huntsville area. So we have stations all across the state, likely in first alert weather day mode right now. So as we go back over to our coverage area, seeing a lot of rain to the east, and hopefully we keep this up. Hopefully this rain just keeps on falling, cools things off across East Alabama, and helps to weaken this line. Hopefully it can just catch up to this rain and start to lessen in intensity, but we're still seeing enough signals, enough indicators with all this lightning. You can see still a lot of lightning strikes with this, some gusty winds, some loud rumbles, and the possibility along this line there could be some areas where we do have some damage from straight line winds, and we're seeing those reports are now starting to come in from Lamar County. I was also noting that over in Mississippi, just over the state line, also Mitchell Keys, one of our weather watchers, one of our former interns actually, he's a meteorology at Mississippi State, was reporting that they had some damage from what might have been straight line winds or a possible tornado not far from the Starkville area. So that's what we're seeing coming in. Tim Hood, one of our weather watchers are checking in right now, says just heavy rain, around 40-mile-per-hour winds in Hackleburg right now. So Hackleburg, we had some 30, 40-mile-per-hour winds, but thankfully no significant wind speeds moved through that area, even with that little Boeing segment that tracked through Marion County, and the severe weather threat has ended for Marion County. Also had a report from Marion County, Josh Hollingsworth reporting in. He's with the Brilliant Fire and Rescue, and said in East Marion County, Brilliant, Sunny Home areas, they had some trees and power lines down, a few trees and power lines down, so we did report that. So in Marion County, just be careful out there tonight, again, with some of that tree damage and power line damage. Greene County cleared from the severe thunderstorm warning. We can now give the all clear for Pickens County and Fayette County. Fayette County, severe threat is over for us. And hopefully this line continues to behave with respect to, we don't see any major tornado warnings that just go the length of the state of Alabama. Hopefully for us, these storms will behave as they continue on to the east direction, but some of the heaviest of the rain right now is pushing through Jasper. Do we have our Jasper cameras? We check the view out there, see what it's looking like there with respect to the winds and the heavy rain. Now Bibb County has been added, and Perry County, to severe thunderstorm warning, so soon we're going to see that line push in towards Bibb County. There's a view from Tuscaloosa, and already from Pier 43 there, again, I reported that wind was gusting over 40 miles per hour in Tuscaloosa, around Lake Tuscaloosa area, and the temperature's actually already dropped down to 60 degrees, so the temperature's starting to drop as that line continues. But now here's the heavy rain. You can see it's pushing into Jasper. Live look from Young Jewelers. And this is one of the Matus stations, I believe, Lauren. It's showing 50 degrees right now, but with temperatures like that, I mean, look at that. You can see that's the stop sign there whipping in the wind. I mean, we have some gust in here that's definitely topping 20, 30 miles per hour, but this is that initial gust front that's moving through the city of Jasper right now. But I certainly think it's a little bit warmer than 50 degrees at this time. We need to check on that temperature there that we have tied to this camera. But right now, just a lot of rain, as you can see, pushing through Jasper. So hang in there. Our friends here in Walker County will get this through the Jasper area very quickly, and then it's just some leftover rain. But at this point, we're not under a tornado warning, but we are under a severe thunderstorm warning. It's one of those nights where we've seen some of these severe storms quickly go to tornado warnings. We do have a watch that's in effect until 4 o'clock, but we're starting to see some counties being trimmed away. So highly unlikely most of these counties in the watch will still be under a watch at 4 o'clock in the morning. So that's some good news right now that we have for you. But as we go back to radar, Again, we're staying with you here as we track this line across the state of Alabama. It's a first alert weather day, just in case we have another warning. We were concerned about this one area here, Lauren, that was moving through Hale County, and certainly seeing some indications of some strong winds there from Duncanville. Mentioned around Lake Payne. This looks like the worst of this is now past Lake Payne. This is moving over towards Pondville, the old National Weather Service site. A long time ago, this is where we would get our radar data from. Centerville Brent Radar there in Bibb County. That was decommissioned, but you can actually drive out near Pondville and see where the old Weather Service station was located right there in Pondville. But you can see the heaviest of the rain now approaching Pondville. Here's Centerville, Harrisburg, Highway 25 areas next in line. Eolin, another location there next in line. But those communities I was calling out a few moments ago, like Akron and Havana Junction, severe weather threat over for you. The worst of this has now passed your area. Moundville, I think the worst of this has now passed north of you. Areas over towards Englewood School, based on what I'm seeing right now, to Tuscaloosa, severe weather risk starting to lessen up. It's just some heavy rainfall, but you can see we're on the back edge of this now from Tuscaloosa back to near Carroll's Creek. There's Appling Bend, areas to the north. Let's go to the First Alert Storm Tracker right now. Where are we located in the Storm Tracker? Are we in Lamar County? I guess we're still on our way. You can see the Storm Tracker there already. The conditions improving. They're behind the line of storms. They're actually going to intercept where we had some of those storm damage reports in Lamar County earlier, but obviously the visibility's improved, so that's a good thing. You know, this is moving through fairly quickly, and we're already seeing some of the heaviest rain backing off. There's Ajane. Ajane, can you hear me right now in the Storm Tracker?
Hey Wes, yeah, I can hear you in the Storm Tracker.
Okay, I know you guys were, out moving towards Lamar County, and I know sometimes the signal is kind of questionable in some of those areas. But tell us, what did you guys experience?
Yeah, I will say the signal was not the best out in County Road 34 in Lamar County. We've heard about some structural damage over there in that area, so we did want to go ahead and check some things out over there. But I will give you guys kind of a look at just our roadways and what we're seeing out here right now as we're headed that way. As you can see, it is pretty dark out here, but if you can tell, the rain has started to pick up. Definitely has been a little bit more aggressive than what we saw a couple of hours ago back in Tuscaloosa as we've kind of made our way through the storm here. Again, we are headed to County Road 34 in Lamar County. Haven't seen much damage. Rain has been pretty steadily. It's starting to calm down a little bit right now as we get a little bit closer to the county, but we will probably see things pick back up here soon. We are here on the lookout for that damage that was reported on County Road 34, so as soon as we get over there, we'll check back in with you guys to see if we can show anything from that area. But until then, just wanted to do a quick check-in from the Storm Tracker. Ajane Robinson here with my photographer Shane, again headed to County Road 34 in Lamar County. I'll toss it back to you, Wes.
All right, Ajane, and I know earlier, we wanted to come to you guys, but also wanted to make sure you guys are okay out there and certainly check in on you in West Alabama. So we're following up on where we had some of those tornado warnings earlier tonight, and if we have any ground truth to pass along where those storms have passed, we will certainly have that for you right here tonight. But more counties basically being added to the severe thunderstorm warning, including now Jefferson County. Your weather radios and your First Alert weather apps about to go off here because we do have, well, not only Jefferson but Coleman County included in a severe thunderstorm warning at this time as well. So Jasper, heavy rain we went to the camera view there. We could see it was just mostly a lot of rain and wind falling in that area right now. Lauren, do we have any damage reports in this area? Want to check out, let's go to the triple threat and take a close look at that. And not seeing indications of significant wind speeds based on our AccuTrack system right now. Just mostly what the algorithm's picking up on is a lot of heavy rain that's falling in here right now. Let's go to velocity data and we might bring in some. So there's the actual gust fronts actually past Jasper, some of those strong winds. Actually around Cordova, the wind's starting to pick up now. So Smith Lake, Curry out around Duncan Bridge and areas towards Cordova, Sipsey, there's Dora. You're about to have some strong winds. Sayre areas as well. If you're watching me around West Jefferson, mostly just we'll get that gust front that pushes through and then a lot of rain that happens. But just I'm not seeing anything right now that just really jumps out as far as a strong signal that a tornado is trying to form along this line. More or less, we're seeing mostly a lot of straight line winds that are happening at this time. The tornado watch has been extended to include Calhoun, Chambers, Cherokee counties, and Clay County. So those eastern counties have now been included in the tornado watch, and that will take it all the way until, let's see, until 4 a.m. So basically the rest of the coverage area right there has been added under the tornado watch. It's going to go until 4 o'clock in the morning. So hopefully these storms continue to behave. Fayette County, however, has been canceled from the tornado watch. So get some rest if you're in Fayette County, Marion County. We're starting to see counties trimmed away. Heaviest of the rain now. Lauren, we'll go to you, and it looks like Centerville, that was one area. Wanted to jump back over to the Centerville camera. This is a live look from Bibb County, and that you can actually see that might be the shelf there of that line of storms approaching the city of Centerville. We have winds out of the southeast at 8. We've had some higher gusts. Temperature now 64 there at Centerville, but the air definitely a bit more soupy out ahead of this line. Lauren?
Hey Wes, yeah, we're keeping a close eye on this line as it begins to move closer to the I-65 corridor. The good news is, I was just looking at, let me clear the map here again so we can get a good view of this. I know it can get really cluttered when you get into these messy, severe weather situations, but I want to show you, of course, Wes was mentioning where the tornado watch has been extended into East Alabama, and it looks like even in East Alabama, the tornado watch for now is in effect until 4 a.m. Central Time. But look at the counties that have now been cleared from the tornado watch. If you're in Marion County, Fayette County, Lamar County, Pickens, Greene County, over into Sumter County, you are no longer under tornado watch. The severe threat is over. Now the weather isn't over for the night. There's still going to be rain on the way, but now that threat is extending further eastward. And remember, as we've been talking about the past couple of days, as these storms move eastward, that's not to say the severe threat will come to an end, but generally the trend is the line is going to weaken as it moves into a slightly more unfavorable environment, areas to the east. So we'll put the map back in motion here, get all the clutter back on the screen for you so you have a better idea of what we're looking at. So we did mention that we now have severe thunderstorm warnings in place for Coleman County. This is in effect until midnight, and then Jefferson County until 12:15 a.m. Central Time. So as we've been saying, hey, as these storms come through and you hear it whipping outside, if you get a warning for your area, tonight is one of those nights that you want to treat a severe thunderstorm warning just like a tornado warning. You want to go to that safe place and make sure that safe place is an interior room away from windows, and definitely want to be somewhere in your house that is away from large trees, because if you do see severe wind gusts develop along the line as it comes through your neck of the woods, that could potentially bring down some trees. We'll get some first alert times on this particular part of the line that is moving through Tuscaloosa County. It is now moving into Brookwood and Coaling, but let's see as we go forward in time. It's 11 o'clock p.m. Central Time right now, moving into Coaling within the next 5 minutes, Brookwood around 11:10, and then North Alabama Junction around 11:13 p.m. And the thing we've been noting with this line, the storms are really picking up. The forward movement of this system, this should be out of here by 5 a.m. in East Alabama. So this is moving to the north and east at about 52 miles per hour. This is the part of the line that could be moving into Jefferson County and affecting places like Hueytown, Bessemer, eventually Birmingham, Vestavia Hills, Hoover, Sylvan Springs. So we'll have to watch along that line. I will say what we've been noting, a trend as this line pushes eastward. Some parts of the line aren't looking quite as intense, but some parts of the line are looking a little bit more intense. We had noted that down now that we're seeing in Perry County and into parts of Bibb County. You see these little segments along the line where it looks like the structure is almost bowing out, that the rain is bowing out. That can sometimes indicate, like we're seeing here along Highway 82 approaching West Blockton and Centerville, along Highway 5, you could be seeing some strong wind gusts, the possibility of straight line wind damage. And where you see the pinks showing up here on that radar view, that could indicate some small hail that is lofted within inside of these cores within this system as it moves through. So just a very messy picture. As I mentioned, even though we are beginning to see that severe threat come to an end in West Alabama, the weather's not over. You're still going to be hearing rain tonight, but notice that rain that is coming in, even though it's very heavy, it just doesn't have the same structure as this little messy squall line that's moving through. and it also doesn't have as much lightning with it. And so you're still going to be seeing some rain, but that severe threat is over now in far west Alabama. But now we're shifting our attention, getting closer to that I-65 corridor. If I'm looking at the line right now and investigating it, you always try to look for those little kinks along the line. I will say there is one little area here in northwest Coleman County that looks like there may be a little bit of broad rotation. We'll switch to the Huntsville radar site. Yeah, not too much of a difference there, but possibly approaching areas like Battleground, closer to Highway 157, you could be seeing possibly some pea-size hail in that one. But we'll also watch down here in Walker County. It looks like some heavier rain and some more intense possibility, maybe some pea-size hail with this as it's moving towards I-22, lifting to the north and east. Some more first alert times moving into Gorgas at 11:11 p.m. and then possibly Powhatan at 11:16 p.m. Central Time. So the line is moving at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. So if we think about that, it's like, okay, the line's moving at about 60 miles per hour. I want to show you a tool that we have here on First Alert AccuTrack that can give us a potential arrival time. So the line in general moving at about 60 miles per hour, right? Let's use this tool here to estimate that as it goes forward in time, it could be moving into areas like Jefferson County, the far east Jefferson County, possibly getting into the eastern half of the county by midnight. So just kind of gives you an idea, you know, moving at 60 miles per hour like a car does, going through fairly quickly. And that's pretty fast for storms as they move through. Sometimes you can get these systems that move through and they're just going really slowly, and that's when you can see a flooding threat. We still want to watch for the possibility of some flooding. I know one thing we have been noting as the system has been coming in is that it does have the possibility to bring some power outages. We've been telling you to charge your devices. I think we actually have an updated map from Alabama Power about where we could be seeing some outages across the area. We'll see if we can pull that up here really quickly. But yeah, there it is, just showing especially areas west of I-65 where you're seeing some of those power outages across our neck of the woods. And we can actually pull up to a county by county map here on our system on our First Alert AccuTrack. It gives you a better idea of where those power outages could be by county. And you can see here that most of the power outages we're seeing are in Tuscaloosa, Fayette, Lamar, and into Marion counties. In these areas where you've seen the most intense parts of the storm moving through west. So still could be seeing some more power outages as this pushes farther to the east.
Yeah, definitely an impactful system, Lauren, and that's one of the reasons why we have declared a First Alert Weather Day, and we're going to stay with you right here throughout tonight until we get this out of here. We're going to get through this together, so just stay with us as we closely monitor this line of storms. I wanted to kind of go through, and if we can, first off, let's take this storm by storm and just start to the north, Lauren, and we'll start in Coleman County. And we're underneath severe thunderstorm warnings basically all along this line. We don't need to we can clear all this off the screen. All these storms are severe. So let's get some of the clutter off the screen. We'll go in really close here to Coleman County, and we'll start to the north and kind of work our way in. So you're looking at Coleman here within the hour, the leading edge of some of these higher wind gusts approaching you and heavy rainfall. This is a severe storm now over Smith Lake, and it is approaching you around Good Hope, Brushy Pond, Bremen areas impacted very soon. Warrior, Smoke Rise. If you're in the Hayden area, you'll be impacted within the hour. Some gusty winds moving your way. So there's Coleman County. Not seeing indications right now that this is trying to produce a tornado, but we could have some winds in here, 60 plus mile per hour as this moves in. Not along the entire line, but some rogue wind gusts in here that may be higher. Lauren, let's keep moving. Let's go south here, and let's take this on down into Walker and Jefferson County. So the leading edge of the heavier rainfall right now approaching Dora, Sipsey. I mentioned Sayre area. There's West Jefferson, Highway 269 back in here towards Mulga and Sylvan Springs. There's Adamsville. This is Highway 78 here back towards Inslee and into the Birmingham area. And looks like Finley Boulevard's right there. So you can kind of tell this still has a little ways to go before it approaches Fultondale around the Asipco area and Thomas there in the Birmingham area. But we're under a severe thunderstorm warning, not necessarily for the heavy rain right now pushing through the city. city of Birmingham. Let me move that so you can see right there. It's just some heavy rain, and we can actually, right now, got some heavy rain here at the station, Lauren. We can hear it outside, some gusty winds, some heavy rain, but not severe. This is what we're concerned about, what's approaching from the west, and that's approaching, I mentioned earlier, Alliance, Maxine, Toadvine. If you're in any of these locations, prepare for some possibility, some high winds as this moves in, and as Lauren noted, there could be some random power outages as this moves through as well. We're seeing some downed trees in the areas. Folks there in Marion County, a lot of the officials, first responders in those areas are really advising folks to be careful out there. A lot of trees down across parts of the county, some of the outlying areas. So we're seeing some of those reports of downed trees out there tonight. As we go further south, we get into Tuscaloosa County, and it looks like around Bucksville here. Let's flip over to Velocity. We want to take a look at this. This is out around the Lakeview area and seeing some indications of some strong winds here. Abernat, Pattersontown area. Again, this is Lakeview. This is all going to lift in towards North Johns. If you're around Rock Creek areas, Mud Creek communities, all into Jefferson County, you'll have some of these stronger winds here within the hour approaching us here in the western part of Jefferson County, so the Bucksville area. But this is past Tuscaloosa. So Cottondale, Tuscaloosa, Coaling, Vance, you're in the clear. This has now passed. This gust front's moved on through. It's just a lot of rain that's happening, but as far as a tornado threat, that risk is lessening. Let's go further south, and we'll take it on into Bibb County, and I believe we had a view here, and I'll try to pull that up, Lauren, as you continue to scan to the south, but you can see there what we're seeing in Bibb County is near Highway 82, the leading edge of some of that heavier rain approaching us there right around the Vance area. I mean, not Vance, but the Eolan area, I should say, in Bibb County. But I was trying to pull up this camera. Let's go to that view right now and see, we've got a great camera view in Centerville, and this is what it looks like right now, and you can see that wall of rain. That's approaching from the west. We can see back there the visibility really dropping off. Very ominous looking clouds there too. You can see almost looks like we have some scud cloud. See if I can move the camera up, and you'll see there at the top of the screen, you see that low cloud? Looks like a nice little shelf cloud there that we're seeing on the camera view. Let's see if I can back the view. There we go. So yeah, the sky looks rather ominous there in Centerville right now as that leading edge of that line approaches. Look at that. And just hold on here a second. That camera's about to pan around to the north direction, but you can see that wall of wind and rain. Here it comes. Centerville, we're about to have some very gusty winds moving in right now, but look at those clouds. They're very low, ominous clouds moving through. Looks very interesting. We'll keep an eye on this. Again, this is in Bibb County, so that line of storms, it certainly looks intense right now as we zoom in. This is another view from Bibb County. We're looking back towards the north, and you can see right in there the leading edge of that squall line where we're getting the strong winds and the heavy rainfall. That's now approaching West Blockton. This is State Highway 5, so Woodstock back to West Blockton, all those areas. Plan for some strong winds here within the next 5 to 10 minutes. This is now closing in on you, and likely what we're seeing in here as well, we had what looked like a debris signature earlier, but a lot of times when you have these gust fronts with these lines of storms like this, it's kicking up a lot of leaves. It is a lot of debris, but it's not necessarily structural debris that we're seeing in a lot of cases with some of these signatures out there tonight. So this is Bibb County. Want to go a little bit further south because we have a lot of folks tuned in here in Chilton County wondering what's moving our way, and I just want to show you what this looks like. Make sure you have the first alert at this time as we go to the reflectivity again, show you that leading edge of the storms. This is still well west of Jemison, Thorsby. Here's Chilton County. Here's Shelby County. I think really what we're going to be dealing with for the remainder of tonight is mostly a straight line wind threat. Might see a tornado out of this. Conditions are certainly favorable, but the main impact is going to be some of these straight line wind gusts based on how things have behaved so far. So a lot that we are tracking, and the good news is, Lauren, I believe we have more counties back to the west that have been trimmed away from the tornado watch.
Yeah, Wes, let's pull that up right now as we speak. I'll go ahead, as you said, clear the clutter so we can all get a good idea of what's happening. But as of right now, we still have Fayette, Lamar, Marion, going into Pickens County, Greene County, Sumter County. Those are the spots that the severe threat is over with tonight, no longer under the tornado watch. And not long from now, Hale County, Tuscaloosa County, Walker County, and Winston County. The line's moving through right now, but it's about to move out, so we should be able to sound sound the all clear for you as well here shortly. So yeah, you can see this line is basically on the eastern edge of those areas, still on the westernmost point of the tornado watch. But where you see those yellow flashing polygons, those indicate severe thunderstorm warnings. So they're not tornado warnings, but a severe thunderstorm warning can be issued because you see the possibility of damaging wind gusts, possibly some hail, and sometimes a potential tornado. But the main issue we're seeing with this line is heavy rain and strong wind gusts that are going to be moving through. And what we're watching for are these little kinks that you could see along the line where maybe you could get a spin up, or like we're seeing here in Perry County to the east of Marion. This is now pushed east of Highway 5. Notice where it is bowing out. I'll kind of draw it here so you can see it. You see that around Perryville. That is indicating some strong wind gusts, potentially some straight line winds are pushing past Highway 14 and moving towards areas like Perryville, Panhandle, and this part of the line here that we're seeing moving through Marion County, it could actually be getting into southwest Chilton County here within the next 30 minutes. So we'll go ahead and give a first alert for Maplesville, Dixie, Parnell. You could be seeing some strong wind gusts coming in soon, and possibly even seeing this severe thunderstorm warning extended to the east for Chilton County. So as we've been saying tonight, you treat a severe thunderstorm warning like you would a tornado warning. You want to go to that lowest level of your home, away from windows, and especially if you know in your yard you have some big trees, you want to maybe be on that side of the house where the big trees aren't, in case there would be a strong wind gust that could cause it to move down. But we're certainly seeing some really heavy rain along this line. I want to go up a little farther to the north. You can see in western Coleman County near Smith Lake, we have some very heavy rain that is coming down. It's moving through Sulphur Springs right now, but is moving towards Brushy Pond, Trimble, Misty Harbor, Loretto. This is pushing eastward towards I-65. So Good Hope, Damascus, you could be seeing this line moving towards you within the next 30 minutes. And then we were looking at that rain as it was coming through Walker County. It is now sliding down I-22 towards Dora, Sipsey. It looks like some of the heaviest rain right now is going to be right around Dora and Kershaw near Sloss and Dora Junction. This is moving towards Highway 5. So some of this heaviest rain could now be getting into northern areas of Jefferson County. Now the rain that's falling in the Birmingham metro right now, this is not the main part of the line, but the main part of that line is now beginning to cross into western Jefferson County, where we're seeing around Bull City, south of Little Shoal. We have some very intense rain. I keep mentioning if you see the pink or the purple showing up here on the radar, that could potentially indicate that you would be seeing the possibility of maybe some small hail or some torrential downpours falling. So that's certainly an area that we want to be watching here as well. But I'm not seeing anywhere as of right now that stands out for the potential rotation, and actually National Weather Service chat has gotten a little bit quiet. So when that happens, that's typically a good sign that things are not necessarily winding down, but maybe we are seeing a trend towards less intensity. So that's kind of what we've been talking about here over the past several days, though. If you've been tuning in with our newscasts and keeping up with us on the First Alert weather app, how as these storms would push eastward, there was going to be a trend towards the possibility of storms weakening. Not to say they wouldn't be strong, but maybe not as strong as they would have been in West Alabama. And that's really the main spot tonight that we've been hearing reports of damage. But I would say some of the most intense part of this storm that is moving through Bibb County is around Shawtown, Bibbville, West Blockton, seeing some very heavy rain. I mean, look how bright that red is. That indicates some very heavy downpours right along Highway 5. You don't want to be out driving in this. Hopefully you're all settled in at home, ready to get into that safe space at a moment's notice, but this is certainly going to make for some treacherous travel tonight. We were watching that Centerville camera. You can see those clouds just low on the ground, those low top clouds. And if you were in a situation where maybe we had a little bit more instability in the air, that would help support some of these more spin up tornadoes. But fortunately, we haven't seen that really manifesting just yet. I do want to reset the view here and just give you an idea of where this is going to be going over the next 2 hours. So what we've been noting is this has been picking up speed. These storms are moving at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. So let's look at the futurecast here over the next 2 hours. And
I was going to say, well, that's the thing. I mean, this has really picked up some speed. I mean, compared to what we're talking about earlier.
It really has. So yeah, that timing graphic we put together earlier, we can probably shave about 3 to 4 hours off of that, but that's good news.
Hey, that's good. Hey, we're not complaining, right?
No, No, we are not.
Yeah, we don't like the, 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning waking up to every weather radio in the house going off. And,
no.
Yeah, and as you noted, at least for parts of the area, we're seeing counties already being trimmed away. But it looks like earlier, it looked like maybe close to midnight this approaching Birmingham.
Right.
But it's closing in on Birmingham. I just got a report here, lightning in the Bessemer area.
Oh, okay, lightning, there you go. So, you can have these storms come through. Oftentimes, if a storm is still producing lightning, it's still going to be fairly intense. But what we are going to see is this continues pushing to the east. And I would say this is showing over the next 2 hours, but this is moving so quickly, I honestly think this may be off a little bit. Showing the storms east of Jefferson County and moving through Shelby County by the time we get to around 1:30 tonight. And I think they may even be farther to the east, possibly closer to Gadsden and Talladega. So again, that's good news, but it moves through quickly. It can still be very impactful. So as we check to where there are some areas that we're still keeping an eye on any potential rotation, I think we were mentioning with the National Weather Service in Birmingham, this is kind of the spot we've been watching in Bibb County. We had seen on the Skycam north of Centerville West that we just kind of want to watch these little areas where you could see these little kinks for potential rotation.
Yeah, and what's going to happen here too, Lauren, is as these storms get a little bit closer to the radar side, the radar sees lower into the storm, and you'll see more of these little circulations trying to show up here as this gets closer to the radar. But we're looking at a line, there's some areas down in the South Alabama, and Lauren, you touched on this earlier. There's some storms that we were watching, a tornado warned storm down around Conecuh County, and some of those storms down in the South Alabama might try to lift north. Let's go back to the radar view here. I want to show you the big picture across the state of Alabama and just kind of reset the scene. You can see the main line of storms now approaching the city of Birmingham, approaching Coleman. Now the worst of this is pushed through Jasper, so I can give you the all clear if you're in Jasper. The worst of this line is pushed through Centerville right now. You can see we've got the camera pulled up. It's right here. You see right there. That's a live look, so you can just kind of visualize that line's just now approaching Centerville. But Hale County, even though we're under a watch, we can sound the all clear. The worst of this has actually moved past Newbern. There's still some leftover rain. Let's go to the First Alert Storm Tracker, by the way, also over into West Alabama there, as we're tracking this line of storms as it moves to the east direction, and we'll bring that view in as well just to show you what's going on. Lauren, if you want to drive the radar.
Or light on that tree.
Okay, so we do have now, we're starting to get some pictures in from West Alabama. So let's go back to the First Alert Storm Tracker. Ajane, can you tell us what you guys are seeing right now and where you're located?
Looks like they're setting up the shot.
Okay.
So may not be ready yet. Sounds like they're trying to get some lights.
Okay.
Better lighting.
That's the problem, Lauren, out there tonight. It's so dark, and you're driving, and then all of a sudden you come up, there's a tree over the road. So just be careful out there tonight. Up for church early tomorrow morning. Just watch it there in the parts of West Alabama. But some of the heaviest rain at the moment now pushing into Jefferson County. So we do want to get in here very close to Bessemer. And we also have a camera there at Pinnacle Motorsports, so we can check out the view on what's happening there as well.
And Wes, I will say real quickly, we just got a message from our former intern Mitchell Keys, and he was saying that we're beginning to see on social media there has been some damage in Starkville, Mississippi from when this storm came through earlier. So
that was the same one that moved through Marion and Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar County. Yeah, so if you have any friends or family or any children who are in Starkville or go to school there, definitely let us know any reports you're seeing on the ground.
So seeing some reports now coming in tonight, and as we did note, there are some reports of some downed trees over parts of Marion County that we are seeing. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt here with Meteorologist Lauren Linehan, and we're staying on with you. It is a First Alert Weather Day, and if we can go back to the big picture here, I want to show you the radar view across the state of Alabama, but we are staying on with you here tonight because it is a First Alert Weather Day. We have a tornado watch that is in effect for still half of the state of Alabama. That will be in effect until 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. But the lightning, as you can see, it's quite a show out there tonight for parts of the area. You can see from some of the camera views across the state of Alabama, but mostly a lot of wind, a lot of lightning, heavy rain. So far, that's what we have seen. And despite a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk for severe weather in place across the area, it's nice that we're seeing we're not seeing, widespread confirmed tornado warnings across the state. Now sometimes we can have confirmed tornado warnings, and we're not seeing that, at least across our area at this time. It's mostly severe thunderstorm warnings, but even those can be quite dangerous. We can have, as we've been seeing, some scattered reports of downed trees, power lines, and in some cases some structural damage from damaging straight line winds. So that's why we're staying on with you. This is one of those severe storm setups that has the potential to produce some straight line wind damage, and quite a bit of it across our area. But Lauren is zooming in now. We're starting to see some impacts around the Birmingham area. This is now east of Tuscaloosa, now pushing in towards the city of Birmingham. So we're zoomed in right now. Some of the heaviest of the rain about to reach us here around McAdory. If you're watching me around Powder Plant Road, Bessemer area, I mentioned earlier Alliance, Toadvine, Oak Grove, over towards the Johns community. Need to watch for some flooding. We had some issues about a couple weeks ago actually, and we need to watch out for that, because if you recall, this season it just seemed like every tree held on to a leaf until the month of December or mid-December. So I know with all the leaves falling, you have some clogged storm drains perhaps in some areas, and that can cause issues. So wouldn't surprise me if we did end up with some localized flooding issues from some of this heavier rain moving through, because there's more rain behind this. The rain's not just going to suddenly come to an end. There will be some leftover rain even though the severe weather threat will be ending. But here's Fairfield and Inslee. Let's back the view out so folks can see further south. Some heavy rain. This was one area where we did have a little bit of rotation right there that passed Woodstock. Heaviest rain right now around Centerville, but if you look, I do have the camera view there pulled up. Let's just take the big picture here, and you can see it's not a blinding rain, even though we look at the radar and we still see that rain pushing through. I mean, that's what it looks like, what you're seeing compared to what we're seeing on radar. It's just not a quagmire, if you will. I mean, there's a little bit of visibility, but there is quite a bit of lightning as that heavy rain pushes on through. But now around Glen Carbon, there's Woodstock and also Caffey Junction, some impacts with some heavy rain folks are running into on the interstate, but you can see already some improvements out here around the Mercedes plant as that heavy rain makes its push on into Jefferson County. But it's really about to pick up here around McCalla. You're going to get those gusty winds. If you're watching me around the Shady Wood area, Oak Mountain State Park, areas to the south around Valleydale Road, Highway 119, Oak Mountain, Pelham, Alabaster, a first alert for, I'm looking probably 35 minutes, some of that heaviest rain reaching you with gusty winds. So we are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Straight line winds. You can see Lauren's putting some time of arrivals. Looks like actually around 11:50, reaching places like Inverness, out here around Grandview Medical Center, around the Meadowbrook area as well. Here's Chelsea, Dunavant Valley Roads right in that area. So out around Mount Laurel, Lake Purdy, all those communities there in Shelby County, a first alert. Further north, anywhere from the Titusville area, north to Sipcoville, out around Miles College, Fairfield, Mulga, you're also looking at about 30-35 minutes for some of that heavier rainfall and gusty winds. There's one area, Lauren, right there. Looks like a little bit of a curly Q, as we call it right there, starting to move into the Concord area. Let's keep an eye on this. Let's go to velocity and take a look at it. Yeah, we do have a signature showing up. So we are starting to see some of these areas of rotation. Let's see if we have. So Birmingham Weather Service also noting that we're going to be seeing these circulations, these weak circulations, but obviously you can tell there's a little couplet right there around Concord and moving towards Sylvan Springs. So we're going to have some strong winds in here as well. That's around Hueytown and moving north towards Mulga. So Jefferson County, just a first alert for at least some strong wind gusts in here as that moves to the north along that line. A little bit of convergence going on there with some of those stronger winds, but that is going to track towards Sylvan Springs, keeping an eye on Jefferson County as well. And you can see with one scan, it doesn't look as impressive. So that's what we're dealing with here tonight. You get one scan and then it goes away. So that's what we were seeing right there. Looked like maybe a little bit of a rotation. But further south, the leading edge of the gusty winds now almost to McCalla. So here's the Lakeview exits right there on the interstate. So strongest winds about to approach it for folks here on the interstate. May just want to, if you're listening to us on Clear Channel Radio, may just want to pull off and let some of this heavy rain and gusty winds move on through. And it's going to improve fairly quickly. So you're only talking about a brief delay for folks traveling. I know a lot of folks traveling for the holidays out on the roads tonight. Even this weekend, it's a big travel weekend as well. Certainly stay safe out there for tonight. But this is now approaching Shelby County. So Montevallo and Chilton County and Shelby County is about to be impacted by some of those strong winds. And as we go to the Weather Service chat here, I noticed that the Gadsden, Etowah County EMA letting folks know that the storm shelters are open in that area. We've seen a lot of storm shelters open in preparation for this first alert weather day. That's going to continue through the early morning hours. Now, after this, as we go into the day tomorrow, severe threat's over. So this is the main final round tonight. Thankfully, the afternoon storms behaved as far as our weather goes. Can't say the same for areas west of us. There was a significant tornado over in Mississippi. Saw one today over in Texas, around the Houston area. Even going back to Christmas, this system is just one of those, you get these storm systems, they just have a history of producing severe weather, and this was one of those that just really caught our attention from last week when we started seeing some of those parameters lining up. So this has just been one that's it's been a pain, but hopefully soon we're able to get it out of here and for the rest of our weekend enjoy some more stable conditions. But already we're starting to see some improvements back to the west. But as Lauren's noting, what you're seeing here, this is velocity estimations from the radar site. We're not too far off the ground, but we're easily seeing 40+ mile-per-hour winds when you actually realize what's actually reaching the ground as far as straight line winds. 40+ mile-per-hour winds certainly not out of the question here for places like Montevallo and points north in Shelby County here coming up. So there may be, again, the wind's really going to pick up. It's going to get our attention out there. There's going to be some loud rumbles and some heavy rain, but just hang in there. Once this passes, we will have some improving weather conditions. But now it's a lot of rain still left over back towards Fayette, and looks like in the parts of Tuscaloosa County, the lightning intensity overall, Lauren, looks like that has backed off a little bit. Now it looks like this line has its eyes set on places like Gardendale, Warrior, Newcastle Road areas there to the north. Tornado watch has been expanded further east, but now it's mostly just half the state that we're seeing under that watch. A lot of counties have been trimmed away back into West Alabama, but now Chilton County and Shelby County has been added to the severe thunderstorm warning. And Lauren, looks like the Weather Service keeping a watch on around Hueytown and Pleasant Grove. Let's go back in there. This circulation that's right here around Hueytown. You can see right there a little circulation, folks, in Hueytown. Let's keep an eye on this. That's moving to it's actually now mainly north of Hueytown, but that's still that one area. It looks like it's tracking in towards Mulga. Do we have a shear marker on that? No. Okay, so what do we have on velocity? Let's take a look at the still right in there, a little area where we have some rotation. So this again, this is north of Interstate 59. The Brighton areas to the south. There's Brighton. Here's Fairfield. I mentioned Miles College is here to the south. This is going to be tracking towards places like Minor, Wylam, Minor areas. First alert. Let's keep an eye on this right here. Might see if this does try to intensify. That's an area that has my attention at this point. This is around Highland Forest. We mentioned Hueytown. The circulation is just north of you. So still getting some heavy rain, some gusty winds here around Hueytown, but that little bit of circulation passed right over. And let's just keep an eye on this in case it tries to ramp up as that moves to the north towards places like Minor and Mulga. You can see Maytown to the north, Forest Road, Lauren zooming in, Valley Avenue, and this is mainly north of Fairfield. And it looks like it's going to continue tracking north. But clearly, Lauren, you can see right there we've got some inbound, outbound winds right along the leading edge of that line. And it's these little bows, these little curls along the line that suddenly decide to rotate. And you know, that's one thing, we can forecast the ingredients for severe weather, but where exactly that severe weather is going to happen, the science just isn't there. But it is quite incredible that starting last Monday, we could tell that there was going to be a risk for severe weather tonight. And thankfully, that's the thing. We just have to be prepared, right? Just in case one of these storms decides to go tornadic.
Yeah, Wes, I mean, I can remember what feels like a couple of weeks ago when we were doing Beyond the 7-Day on Weather Extra. Tania Michelle was pointing out, hey, we may have to watch in a couple of weeks for a storm threat the weekend after Christmas. And sure enough, here we are with that storm threat. We're glad that the storms haven't been super intense for the entire area, but there has still been some damage as we've been getting reports of in Lamar County. And it looks like as well that we're going to continue to be watching this little circulation that is moving into western Jefferson County. If you live anywhere along 10 Mill Road, 5th Avenue, Forest Road, this is near Pleasant Grove, around Dolomite, this is pushing towards that I-20 corridor as we get into areas like parts of Jefferson County. So as of right now, we're going to be continuing to keep an eye on this. That's really the one area of note that we want to keep a close eye on.
Hey, Lauren, let's go back to also, you can actually, Ian, you can drop this box and just go to split screen. I've got this camera pulled up here just to show you, Lauren, and you continue, but I just want to show you this view from the Bessemer area. So this is a live look, please continue there, Lauren. I just wanted to jump in here so folks can see and look at there's still traffic out there trying to drive in this on the interstate, but it is coming down right now in the Bessemer area.
Yeah, that's great. Because you know, Wes, we can show these radar views the whole time, but the advantage we have with our First Alert Weather Sky Vision system is that we do have these views out on the road of what we're seeing. So some very heavy rain moving into Bessemer. Hey, even if we don't see anything spinning up with this little rotation we've been watching around Hueytown, still some very intense rainfall, and feeling for the people who are out on the roads right now. Definitely make sure you are slowing down, and we'll continue to watch for any localized flooding too. I will say a good thing about this system that it's picking up speed. That can help to limit that flooding threat. So we'll continue to watch this closely. I do want to go now to our storm tracker. I think we have the shot up. I know we've been having some issues with some spotty signals as it moves into West Alabama, but we have our Anjanae Robinson out on the scene. Anjanae, how are things over in Lamar County?
Well, Lauren, here in Lamar County on County Road 34, things have started to pick up a little bit in this area. So as you can see, it is raining. Now, it's not raining as hard as it was when we were driving to this area, but it is still raining. It's been a steady flow for a few minutes now since we've been out here. But the one thing that I did want to show you when we got on this road was this tree here. So as you can see, this tree, it's leaning quite far. Leaning towards the road here. Nothing hasn't actually leaned all the way into the road to block the road here, but you know, if we had any other strong winds kind of come through this area or anything else, I think this tree would definitely get stuck here on this roadway. So definitely something just for folks if you are driving on County Road 34 to look out for during this time. So I did want to show you guys that. Now, something we have been seeing a lot of also in this area has been lightning. That has been another thing that we've started to pick up on in this area. We've seen lightning in the sky, lightning strikes, and then just about 5-10 minutes ago, we did hear thunder for the first time during this entire event. You know, on our drive up here and things of that nature, we did just hear thunder a few minutes ago. So something to note of things that we've just been seeing in this area here. Now, I will say that the roadways, you know, Lauren, you were speaking in your live hit a little bit earlier that, you know, we want to stay off the roadways during this event, and that's definitely true. And the one thing I will say that's good about what we've seen coming up this way is that there hasn't been a lot of traffic. We haven't seen a lot of cars on the roadway, which is also a positive because that means people are obviously taking your advice, Lauren. They're going to their safe place, they're going home, making sure that they're kind of ready and prepared for an event like this. So that's always good to see when you are into a storm and situation like this. So just wanted to give you guys an update on what we were seeing out here. Again, County Road 34, Lamar County. I think we're going to head back to the Tuscaloosa area and maybe to some other areas and see what else is going on here, but just wanted to give you that update.
All right, thanks a lot, Ajane. And as we continue right now, we have severe storms approaching the city of Birmingham. Now listen up, Birmingham, we're about to have some very heavy rainfall, some gusty winds moving into the city, Fultondale, Gardendale. So for folks here getting the alerts, your weather radios going off, your First Alert weather app, this is a severe storm. Could be producing some winds over 60 miles per hour, some very heavy rain. And it is really pouring here, as we can see from our sky vision here in the Bessemer area. Again, this is a live look from Bessemer, and we've got the winds whipping right now. They gusts up to 16 miles per hour, but that line, you can see the camera just shaking. I saw some folks out there on the roadways, but you don't want to be driving in this. Let this pass. This is blinding rainfall. It's going to move on through fairly quickly, but that we could end up with these rainfall rates, some flooding issues that are happening across parts of Jefferson and Shelby County. Alabaster right now about to have some of that heavy rain as well. You can see this is really bowing out. So I just want to mention again for folks around Pelham, Alabaster, all the way to Montevallo, Heatherwood Country Club area, Altadena Woods, and points to the north there. Main thing I expect out of this, some winds, 30, 40 miles per hour as this tracks through. You're looking at maybe 30, 35 minutes. You're going to have a gust of very strong winds, some heavy rainfall, but that's mostly what I'm seeing right now, straight line winds out of this as that tracks to the north. Bessemer area right now, it's mostly a lot of rain. And let's go in, Lauren, I want to take a look here around Hueytown again and watch this area to the north where we had some rotation. Let's go to velocity data. I want to look at what's happening here around Bessemer. Okay, looks okay. I'm not too concerned. Looks mostly like straight line winds, again, what we're seeing here. Let's go further north and let's see what's happening. There was some broad circulation. Looks like that has weakened again. So that little rotation that was tracking, let's see, there's let's hold the map right here so I can get my bearings. There's Hueytown. Okay, so this track just north of Hueytown, there's that little circulation. It's around Adamsville right now, but it's still behaving. It hasn't tried to grow into anything more significant here to the north. But that said, we're still getting the winds that are happening out there at the moment. What I want to do at this point, I want to go over to a report that we have. This is coming in from Oak Grove in Jefferson County. So let's see what we're looking at here. This is right now what it looks like in Oak Grove in Jefferson County. This coming in from our weather watcher Brody West and his sister sharing the video, and you just see it's mostly a lot of wind and rain that we have at the moment. The occasional flash of lightning, but just a stormy night for the most part. Again, we have the random reports of some trees, but that's you know, just an eye of the sky and what we're seeing out there tonight, what we're dealing with across most of our area. So as Lauren's going back over to some of this is the rotation detector, but what this is also doing is picking up some of those strong straight line wind gusts, and just again stretching from Acton Road to near Bent River, back to Pelham. The Oak Mountain Amphitheater is right in this area, and point south towards Alabaster. It's mostly a lot of wind that we're having in here, some straight line winds, 40, 50 plus miles per hour possible, some of those rogue wind gusts. It looks like the worst of this, Lauren, has passed through Maylene based on what we're seeing. So for folks around Helena, the Maylene area, looks like some of the stronger winds the stronger winds are now approaching Helena, but have passed through Maylene. And we've got a good eye on this because we're scanning this from the Shelby County Airport, so we have a nice scan to pick up if there's any areas that try to spin up a tornado. We can pick that up very quickly here as we monitor what's going on. So again, today, just overall, the way this event has evolved, a lot of the forecast data, especially yesterday, was showing a lot of concerning severe weather parameters. Thankfully, so far, what we've seen, I will say this, it could have been a lot worse, right, Lauren? Based on some of the ingredients. So some good news so far, you know, based on, I believe we had a couple of tornado warnings as this first moved into the state. Now, that being said, I don't want us to let down our guard because we're talking about severe storms, and some of these certainly could pack quite a punch as they move through our area. But we had some ingredients that were showing the possibility of some violent tornadoes, especially, which any tornado is violent, but we're talking high-end type tornadoes possible across parts of West Alabama, some of that data that was coming in last night and yesterday. So thankfully, and also thankfully it's moved through a lot quicker. So, you know, yeah, as long as we can get through some of these events here and no severe weather happens, I'm a happy camper, because we do not want, obviously, nobody wants severe weather, and hopefully we can get this through here quickly, and hopefully this rain helps us out across the eastern part of the state. But we're going to stay with you here. I know we don't have active tornado warnings in our coverage area, but this is such a high impact event, and it's a first alert weather day. We want to stick around and stay with you. We know a lot of you are up with us tonight, and we want to let you know when you can rest easy and the severe weather threat has ended, because this has certainly been a talked about event for several days now. And starting to see, Lauren is zooming in. Notice how this line is starting to bow out across Shelby County. So that's a sign that we do have some strong winds in here approaching Alabaster. There's Camp Branch Road, Oak Mountain State Parks right in here. Highway Cabo Valley Road, Highway 119 is going to be right in this area. Valleydale Road is going to be in this area. There's Inverness. So again, northern Shelby County likely seeing some strong winds in here approaching. And you can see we have a great view from the radar site, which is right there at the Shelby County Airport. Let's go further north to the city of Birmingham and see what's happening there, because we did have, okay, so yeah, little spin. You can see how it just really blends in there, right, Lauren, and some of this data. You got to look closely, but there's a little couplet right there. You got to keep an eye on that for the possibility of something trying to spin up. But further north, Birmingham, at the heaviest of the rain now approaching the Birmingham metro area. You can see right there moving in. Bessemer, back edge of the rain now starting to move into the Bessemer area. But anywhere from Hoover, Bluff Park, Vestavia Hills, Birmingham, I bet we have a great view. We've got that Bluff Park Diner camera. We can pull that up and see what the view looks like there from Bluff Park. Some real heavy rain there. From Bluff Park Diner, we have a view looking to the north, and I'm certain we have some impressive views with the heavy rain moving in from those areas right now. So let's go check that out. This is a live look. So there you go. We can see, looking to the north, temperature at 64 degrees, but you can clearly tell those low clouds there passing by to the north, and we'll likely see that wall of rain moving in very closely. You can see those trees there whipping in the wind. We got some gusty winds. This is high atop Shades Mountain there in Bluff Park. So folks around Hoover area, you're about to get some very heavy rain. Bluff Park, Hoover, over towards Alford Avenue, back in towards Homewood as well. Another location I mentioned, Titusville community points north towards Minor and Wylam, and over towards Finley Boulevard, Thomas communities, all those areas. You're about to have some weather. If it hasn't woken you up yet and you wake up and you're tuning in right now to WBRC, just to let you know it's a severe storm, gusty winds, heavy rain, but about to move in. We have some gusts. This is actually the observation coming in from the Birmingham Shuttlesworth International Airport, showing some wind gusts there up to 29 miles per hour. But a live look from Brookwood Baptist Medical Center. Some folks out on the road tonight certainly need to be getting to where they need to go, because we're about to have some real heavy rain, some gusty winds pushing through not only those locations I talked about, but I mentioned right there Homewood, that's Highway 31. The rain intensity starting to back off a little bit there for folks in Bessemer, but a lot of folks out on the interstate tonight, as you can see. If you have any severe weather reports you need to pass along to us, by the way, I often say, wait for severe weather to pass, but a lot of you sometimes send pictures and video on our social media feeds. You can also share that on the First Alert weather app. If you do have an important picture report you need to get to us to let folks know what's happening out there, you can share that with us as well on the First Alert weather app. But right now, a lot of rain, a lot of wind. Lauren, are you seeing any other damage reports across the area? I know we have Ajane, we have a team over in Lamar County where we've seen some downed trees in Marion and Lamar counties in some of those areas.
Yeah, Wes, I'm not seeing anything that's standing out. One thing I will say that's standing out as we're looking at this radar view here on First Alert AccuTrack, our lightning counter. As this has been pushing eastward and we're getting later into the overnight hours, the lightning count has been going down a bit. That's not to say we couldn't see more lightning here, but typically what happens when you see that lightning count go down significantly, that could indicate that maybe storms are moving into an environment that aren't as favorable for strong intensification. Nevertheless, these storms are going to be impactful, and the bulk of that really, or we see them moving into Chilton County right now, where you could be getting some strong wind gusts along this line. Looking at Chilton County, Jemison, Thorsby, Lomax, Clanton, Highland. The heaviest rain associated with this is moving through Maplesville and Isabella, and it's going to be moving towards Highway 31, Interstate 65 here within the next 20 minutes or so. But notice too, as we zoomed in on Chilton County, look at the lightning count. It went down significantly, so possibly the line not as intense there. As we head up I-65 into Shelby County, you now have the core of the storm moving over the radar site, and so that's where you see that little blob there where it looks like nothing's there. That's literally where the radar is, and so this is going to be pushing eastward. Areas like Chelsea, Columbiana going to be getting in on some of that heavier rain, and it's moving through Hoover right now. We're not seeing any areas where we're seeing these obvious little kinks along the line, but you're certainly going to be getting some heavy rain moving into the Birmingham area and also some gusty winds. So for now, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Jefferson County until 12:15 a.m. Central Time and 12:30 a.m. Central Time for Shelby County. If we look at the winds when we turn on our velocity product, one thing we will notice around Pelham, and again, this is closer to the radar site, so you can get a better idea the closer you are to the radar, you're lower down in the atmosphere, and can get a better idea of what is happening on the ground. It does look like we're seeing some intense winds popping up here around Deerhurst. We'll get an idea of how much? Okay, I think that's overestimating it a bit, but showing the possibility of 90-mile-per-hour winds to the east of Pelham, just east of I-65, getting closer to Oak Mountain. So I wouldn't necessarily say this is necessarily 90-mile-per-hour winds at the surface, but does indicate that we've got some strong wind gusts moving through Shelby County, headed towards Oak Mountain, Simsville, Watkins, over into Chelsea, closer to Highway 280, because this is all generally moving to the north and east. So areas along that 280 corridor, if you haven't seen much yet, that heaviest rain will probably be right in your neck of the woods here shortly. And we'll look here at our 2-hour nowcast that we have showing over the next 2 hours where this could go. I'll bring out the view here and kind of clear all the clutter so we can get a better idea of what we're looking at. So right now the line is right approaching and along I-65. This is going to be pushing eastward over the next 2 hours. So where could this be in about an hour's time? Showing this moving into closer to Talladega, Gadsden, over into Blount County, St. Clair County, and also moving out of Chilton County. I will say though, it looks like this is lagging a little bit. So this system has really been picking up some forward momentum. Here we are almost at 2 a.m. showing the line now in East Alabama. Remember initially we said, hey, this may be out of here by 6 a.m. It may be out of here by 4 a.m., if not sooner. So that's really a good sign that the line is picking up. That means that we're going to continue to see a trend towards not just a gradual weakening trend, but a trend towards it picking up. It will get out of here more quickly. So we'll switch back on so you can see where those severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. Right now we have severe thunderstorm warnings for Jefferson County, Bibb County, but I think Bibb County, this is actually going to be cleared here shortly because the worst of it is now moving into Shelby and Chilton counties and up into Coleman County. Notice as of right now that has not been extended. A severe thunderstorm warning hasn't been extended into Blount County because if we zoom in here along the line, it's just not looking quite as intense along that I-65 corridor west.
Yeah, that's the thing, Lauren, and I'm sitting here, I'm going through looking at some of the data. We're seeing some random reports, some trees down. The Weather Service reported a 40-mile-per-hour wind at the office. We had some heavy rain. Here's downtown Birmingham. The rain intensity, it picked up a few moments ago. It's actually backed off a little bit now. Looks like quite a bit of police activity there in the downtown area right now, but might be some flash flooding issues going on in Birmingham. That was a view from the McQuain Science Center, but you can see right now the leading edge of that line moving into the city, some gusty winds, some heavy rainfall, but mostly a lot of wind and rain. I mean, that's what we're seeing out of this. I did have, some of these reports are just starting to come in from some of this earlier storm activity, and I did have one viewer, we may want to investigate this, in Winfield, said we had some damage Highway 253 in North Winfield, some trees and the structures impacted in that area. Said it happened fast, and that's the thing, the way these storms moved in, happened fast. So it was in Winfield earlier, so we may want to, newsroom, if you are listening, may want to make some calls there and follow up. I know the Weather Service is also listening in as well. Shelby County reporting some trees down Middle Street and Morgan Street in Montevallo. So we do have some trees reported down in Montevallo. That's in southern Shelby County from that line. And listen, right now, some of the strongest wind gusts, the heaviest rain, now crossing near Hoover, right along the Highway 31 corridor. So Birmingham, Homewood, Hoover area, Vestavia Hills, Glen Iris, some heavy rain. There's Hoover, so this is now about to cross out towards Cahaba River Road, Altadena Road, Rocky Ridge Road areas as well, Lorna Road. If you're watching me in those communities, you're about to get some heavy rain, some gusty winds as this pushes into the Hoover area. Further north, line looks like it's weakened quite a bit right over the city of Birmingham. I mean, we checked out the view. You can see right over the city, the rainfall intensity's backed off. The reflectivity looks much weaker. That's a good sign. So immediately what we're seeing, let's go into the city, Lauren, and I want to take this further south. Let's get in here closer to the city of Birmingham, but just mostly a lot of wind and rain. Nothing that just really stands out here telling me you know, off the chart kind of storm here based on what we're seeing. I mean, we probably have some wind gusts, 30 plus miles per hour, but it's mostly just a lot of wind, a lot of rain, but that's approaching Homewood, and there's Highway 31, or Interstate 65 and Highway 31 there south of Birmingham. I mentioned Glen Iris. Well, there it is, just popped up. So Glen Iris, Homewood, Vestavia Hills, the leading edge of that heavier rain now moving in. Probably see some winds there, 30, 40 miles per hour. There's Hoover as well, but where is this going? This is now about to cross Lakeshore out here towards Highway 280. You're just about to get a lot of wind, a lot of rain, maybe hear some loud rumbles as this moves out towards Cahaba Heights. Here's Interstate 459, so we have right in this area is Acton Road. We have Cahaba River Road and also Rocky Ridge Road areas will all be impacted. You can see there's another update as that heavier rain moves in, basically around Vestavia Hills impacted by the heavy rain. So let's go north and let's check out northern Jefferson County and Coleman counties at this point. And just leading edge of the gust front now looks like it's around Newcastle. The higher wind gusts probably more than likely is past Gardendale at this time. But Pinson, first alert for you. I want to make sure you are prepared. You're about to have some gusty winds and some heavy rain moving in your direction. Trafford area as well. We're getting now further north. We're not actually under a warning here, are we, Lauren? So it looks like we're left out of a warning further north you go. Coleman County still has this warning. Now, Coleman County is the one county in our coverage area that is the advisories and the watches, the warnings, that's all handled by the National Weather Service in Huntsville. So they make those adjustments, and the National Weather Service in Huntsville are opting to hold on to that warning for the Baileyton area, but mostly a lot of wind, a lot of rain that we're seeing with that right now as well. So even the lightning count, you can see that's dropped off down to 12 strikes. So that's a good sign. So I like what I'm seeing here further north. Let's go back to the south here for a lot of folks that are up with us around Birmingham, Shelby County. Looks like that line's even weakened even more across Shelby County. So I like what I'm seeing here with this. Probably seeing some 30, 40 mile per hour winds, but again, right now Shelby County, it's mostly just a lot of wind, a lot of rain. Maybe, you know, we have sometimes non-severe thunderstorms. You know, we have random trees down in some areas, and that's mostly what we're seeing now with a lot of this, some trees down in some spots as these winds do pick up and as this blasts through the area. But based on where this is located, Pelham, severe threat over. Alabaster, severe weather threat is over for us. Leading edge of the heavier rainfall. And we can go in really close here, Lauren. We can go to a lot of folks watching us right here around Inverness and over towards the Meadowbrook area. There's Lake Purdy. There's Shoal Creek, Mount Laurel areas in here. Just kind of show you where we're about to have some of that heavier rainfall. Heavy rain right now over towards Caldwell Mill Road, Veterans Park, and that is now approaching Hickory Ridge, Meadow Ridge. And I mentioned the Meadowbrook area, Little Ridge Estates, and Eagle Point's another area out here. Of course, that's one area we know all too well was struck by that tornado a few years ago that moved over Oak Mountain. And this is an area that's not immune to severe weather. You know, a lot of times we see a lot of warnings in northern Jefferson County, but I tell folks sometimes, you know, weather always has a way. It will surprise you. If you've lived somewhere for 20, 30 years and never seen a tornado move through, just know that no one location's ever immune to severe weather. If you live in a valley or you think maybe the mountains protect where you are, just keep in mind that always reminds me, Lauren, that Eagle Point tornado, that thing came over Oak Mountain and impacted that area. Again, this is not a tornado warning, I just want to stress, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning. And actually, it looks like to the south, Lauren, some of those warnings that we're seeing even south of this line. So hopefully that rain perhaps helped us out here. You can obviously see that the line is weakening now as it approaches Interstate 65, and several counties have been trimmed away. Part of Jefferson County, if you're in Bessemer, the western part of the county, get some rest tonight. Severe weather threat is over for you. It's now the eastern part of the county that we're mostly concerned with. And we'll go back in really close here. We'll check out, I want to check out the radar view around the airport and around the city, because that flooding issue, it popped up quickly a couple of weeks ago, Lauren. So I want to make sure we just watch here. Let's look at where we have some of that heavier rain happening. And so here's Mountain Brook. Irondale's located here. Crestwood is located in this area, so Crestwood, Irondale, Roebuck, all now dealing with the heaviest of the rain at this time. Montclair Road back in towards Irondale. Actually, that's East Lake right in here, so East Lake getting some of that heavier rain, but this is all around the airport, really coming down right now. Just a lot of rain happening at this time, but there's more wet weather behind this, but you can see that the rainfall rates do lessen up. You get back in here towards Docena, Mulga areas, it's not as intense, so that's a good thing. We get the heavy rainfall, so hopefully this moves on through fairly quickly before we start ending up with some flooding issues there around the city of Birmingham. But mostly a lot of wind and rain, but we are going to stay with you as this continues on until we see more of these warnings canceled, because this has been a very impactful night. Lauren, I know you were talking a lot about it being a first alert weather day, but hopefully we'll be able to cancel that sooner rather than later.
I will say, as we've been checking in on the National Weather Service chat, one thing they're noting that as this moves eastward, if we continue to see the significant weakening trend, that they may not end up continuing severe thunderstorm warnings. So you may just be dealing with some good old-fashioned rain and gusty winds, which is what we would love to see. Of course, as we saw earlier on some of our sky cams, still people out driving. It's not fun to drive in the rain anyway, but much less when it's dark outside. So I'm going to clear some of the clutter here. We'll remove that tornado watch. Now remember, the tornado watch has been cleared for much of West Alabama, and these counties that are currently under severe thunderstorm warnings, I think once they are canceled, we could very well see areas like Coleman County, Jefferson County, Bibb County, Shelby County into Chilton County cleared from that tornado watch as well. But still got to get through this line as it comes through, watching for those the potential along the line for these gusty winds or little kinks that can maybe produce a brief spin up tornado. But all we've really been seeing now, we see from one of our friends at the EMA here, Melissa Sizemore, she is saying they've gotten a report of a tree down in Graysville. So just little spotty damage here and there. I think the most significant damage we've heard of thus far tonight has been up in Lamar County, but hey, if that's what we get, that's great to hear. But we did notice that in Blount County, the warning a severe thunderstorm warning had not been issued there, even though typically that's been the trend as we've been seeing this pushing eastward. Each county almost gets their own severe thunderstorm warning to account with the severe wind potential along the line. But as we're looking at it right now, nothing really standing out, just seeing that gust front moving in. That's that leading edge of the storm. And as we've been noting, as these storms are moving eastward, the lightning isn't quite as impressive. Now, in this view here, if you're in Blount County, you're like, okay, there may not be a severe thunderstorm warning, but they've still got this booming thunder outside. That's because there is some lightning associated with this, but lightning does not make a storm necessarily severe. A thunderstorm, by definition, is a storm that produces thunder and lightning, right? So we just aren't necessarily seeing that severe threat continuing as much farther east, but it even looks like the warning for Jefferson County has been trimmed just to the eastern portion of the county, because areas like Bessemer, Hueytown, Sylvan Springs now beginning to see some clearing, at least from the severe threat. There's still going to be another round of rain coming in on the backside of this, but some of the most intense rain is now pushing towards I-59. If you're in Trussville, Margaret, Springville, you're about to be seeing some heavy rain moving in. And Moody, the good news is we are not seeing any issues with necessarily these severe warnings being continued further eastward just yet. It looks like the line is generally behaving, and we're beginning to see some of the heaviest rain associated with this line now pushing east of the radar site in Shelby County. So around Columbiana along Highway 280 near Chelsea, getting some very heavy downpours. This will be next headed towards areas like Shelby, Wilsonville, Harpersville, a first alert along Highway 231, potentially Childersburg over in Talladega County up to Pell City, possibly some heavier rain moving in within the next 30 minutes or so. We've been noting that as this line is pushing eastward, it's beginning to pick up speed. It's moving at about 60 miles per hour. So if you checked in with Matt Daniel today, he was showing you some of the updated timing on when we were expecting the storms to come through. And he mentioned, hey, if this comes through a little bit faster, it could move out of here more quickly. And that's exactly what we're beginning to see happen. It really is just moving along as it comes through. And as it moves eastward, it's really beginning to lose steam, not necessarily in terms of speed, but in terms of how severe it is along the line. So this is certainly looking like a promising situation, but if you are in East Alabama and you're thinking, okay, well, the severe threat's over with, not necessarily saying the severe threat's over with, but there are some promising trends, and you still want to make sure you're paying attention to the weather tonight. We've been saying with these nocturnal threats, one of the things that can be so dangerous is you're sleeping and you're caught off guard. A lot of us, I know I do it when I go to bed, I have my phone on silent, but this is one of those nights you don't want your phone on silent because you want to be able to hear if even something like a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your area. But this is certainly a promising trend. And as we look at the orientation of the line, here we have I-65. It's really beginning to just slowly push, well, quickly push past that I-65 corridor. So really, West Alabama, we can sound the all clear for the severe threat, but there's still that heavy rain building in behind it. But this heavy rain that's coming in, you may hear some rumbles of thunder, but generally just some heavy rain moving through tonight. Once the severe threat is over, you get that rain moving through. It can actually make for some good sleeping weather. But right now, we're still seeing at least the possibility of an isolated severe threat as this line moves through and pushes eastward. One thing I do want to check in, we've been seeing all this heavy rain moving across the state. Let me clear up the view here and give you an idea of just how much rain we've been seeing as this is moving through. So this gives us a general idea. It looks like some of the heaviest rain that fell, as we look at these radar estimates, was about 2.5 inches over in Pickens and Sumter County. And then thus far, looks like in Jefferson County, seeing some isolated higher amounts of about 2 inches. And remember, this isn't just with the line that is coming through right now, but it's also with these earlier off and on rounds of rain we've been seeing. And if you've been paying attention to the forecast, one thing we noted over the past few days is that this was a conditional severe weather threat, meaning there were some conditions to it. We certainly saw the parameters showcased in the model data and the computer data that we analyzed to make our forecast that indicated, hey, this could be a pretty intense system. But there could be some things that could hold back from that, and that would be that possibility of some rain coming in earlier in the day. And Wes, we certainly did see some rain, and I think that has really worked in our favor in some spots.
It certainly has, Lauren. And what I want to do, there's an area I've been watching here. I want to go into Chilton County, and there's along this line right here, Lauren. Let's go in and let's go to velocity data, and we need to keep an eye on this. I've seen some rotation right there. This is near the Jumbo area. Notice we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued from the National Weather Service to cover this storm. This is going to be for Chilton County, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 12:30 in the morning. But this is an area where we have some broad rotation showing up. This is going to be tracking towards Wildwood Shores, Marble Valley, Talladega Springs areas as it lifts to the north direction. So seeing right there, that's one of the more impressive signatures, Lauren, that we have seen with the latest scan. You can see really starting to light up there across Chilton County. So let's keep an eye on this. Now, this is just to the north of Clanton. So Clanton, this is north of you, okay? This is tracking now towards Lay Lake. But for folks out here around Marble Valley, Blue Springs, Wildwood Shores area, let's stay alert here and on standby in case we see a warning issued. But right there, clearly trying to rotate Rocky Mountain and the Manuka exit. That's all back to the west of this. This is past that area. This is about to move actually into southern Talladega and into Coosa County. And by the way, the mayor of Oak Grove messaged me to let folks know there in Oak Grove that the storm shelter is open. So for Oak Grove near Sylacauga, just let folks know that the storm shelter is open in that area. And also as a reminder for folks in Calhoun County, that we are now simulcasting. I mentioned we're on Clear Channel stations all across the state of Alabama, but right now we're on Jacksonville 96.3 FM. That's WJXI and WOXI in Oxford. That's the station there broadcasting off of Coldwater Mountain there to Oxford 95.9. So that is from the Calhoun County 911 radio station. So listen, if you're in the Anniston area, if you're anywhere from Coldwater, east of Boga, all the way to Jacksonville, all across Calhoun County, you can hear us on those stations, those FM stations, and some great stations there, and we certainly appreciate that partnership, but a great way to stay weather alert. But this is really starting to look interesting here, Lauren, over Chilton County, and you can see that there's obviously some strong rotation that is showing up right around the Jumbo community. This is approaching Wildwood Shores. This is approaching Lay Lake. So folks out here around the Lay Lake area, you can see there's Bluff Springs right there. We're seeing that rotation that is moving. Can we put an arrow on this and maybe do a track if this holds together? It's moving more north and east. We're not seeing a shear marker on this, but you can see some times of arrival. That's showing around 12:20 in the morning. So Talladega Springs, if this holds together and it kind of goes the way we don't want it to go and it continues to intensify and moves to the north, Blue Springs, Dogwood Point area, Talladega Springs, right here we might have a tornado trying to form. So we need to be alert. We're certainly going to have some winds in here, 40, 50 plus miles per hour possible as this moves to the north. But this is over Chilton County at this time. But how quickly, Lauren, things can change when you have these lines like this. Now, this is south of Shelby County. I think this is going to stay south of places like Alabaster. This is going to stay south of Calera. This is going to be tracking more towards looks like Talladega Springs, and Sylacauga is back in here, Fayetteville area, Stewartville. That's all back in this direction. That may actually track more towards maybe Talladega Springs, maybe Wilsonville, but we're seeing a sharp turn towards the north and east direction. But a first alert for if you're in Hidden Valley and around Lay Lake, some strong winds at least right now out of this as this moves to the northeast based on what we are seeing. The 911 Shelby County reporting that we have some trees down, some lines down actually, some power lines down Hickory Point in Helena. So some power lines down. Some folks losing power out there. I had one viewer message me a few moments ago in Chelsea and Pelham in Shelby County and said the power's out in those areas right now. So we do have more of these random power outages that are happening. What Lauren is doing is using this velocity data to plot some of the wind speeds, just kind of give you an idea of where some of those stronger winds are happening. And you can see there, seeing the possibility of some gusts over 50 miles per hour with this. But this is really going to be, thing about it is when you get that wind picking up and it crosses the lake out here around Lay Lake, those wind speeds are going to be quite gusty along the banks of the lake there. So it's really going to pick up as it moves over that lake surface there and tracks onto the east. The National Weather Service will continue with those watches, by the way, it looks like, for areas back in the East Alabama. So, Lauren, we're going to continue to watch this closely as this line tracks to the east. But let's go to the big view. Again, we're zoomed in over Chilton County. And even though there's an area right there that's showing a little bit of rotation, we're still under a severe thunderstorm warning. But this is one of those situations tonight where when we end up with these QLCS, these quasi-linear lines of storms, convective systems. When you hear us talk about convection, we're talking about storms. But when we have these lines like this, sometimes when you can have a tornado that may form within less than a minute, by the time, sometimes when you issue the warning, the tornado's already dissipated. But just note that severe thunderstorm warnings, and I just want to stress this, there's also, if you look at the definition, it indicates that an isolated tornado is possible in a severe thunderstorm. So because we have these severe thunderstorm warnings, that doesn't mean that there could not be a tornado with this. Just keep that in mind if your county goes under a severe thunderstorm warning for the remainder of tonight. That's one of the things we talked about across West Alabama out of this particular setup. It's just, in these situations here, we just don't have enough evidence to go completely with a tornado warning. And our goal is to try to reduce, the false alarm rates. We want to make sure, a lot of when the Birmingham National Weather Service issues a tornado warning, it's many times, especially we've seen quite a bit of change since the 2011 event that happened here across Alabama, and they have a very good rate of accuracy on these warnings when we see those issued. So again, just some things to keep in mind anytime you see a severe thunderstorm warning. And actually, Lauren, now what happens with these, we have the considerable severe thunderstorm warnings when sometimes there's a different level of severe thunderstorm warning. So when you watch the text there, it may include considerable damage possible with some of those warnings. So Barry checking in on Twitter. We've got a lot of folks out there and a lot of weather warriors on Twitter tonight that follow me, and they're checking in. We see a report here from Pinson and Center Point. Not bad, just a lot of rain, a lot of wind. Moved through Pinson and Center Point, not too bad. So thankfully, We got this through those areas. Even though we're under a warning, you can see over Jefferson County, and this is now approaching Trussville, Argo, Springville areas. If you're watching me over towards St. Vincent's East, and again, there it is right there, the heavier rainfall. There's Springville. I mentioned Margaret and Argo, all those communities here. Trussville now getting some of that heavier rainfall now pushing through along Interstate 59, but we just got that report from Pinson and Centerpoint, and thankfully not much to it as it moved through that area, and hopefully it stays that way as this continues to the east. But sometimes what I see a lot of is with some of these storms, sometimes once they get into Blount County and into Etowah County, and especially some of the higher elevations, sometimes we can see some very strong winds with some of these lines of thunderstorms. So we need to watch for that. Maybe sometimes terrain sometimes might enhance some of those wind speeds as well. But just going through and checking in reports, it looks like we're going to hold off on, the Weather Service is not issuing a tornado warning on that one area that we're watching in Chilton County. But here's a look at Shelby County at this time, and the leading edge of the heavy rain looks like it's through Chelsea, now approaching out towards Harpersville and the Vincent area. So Vinemont, Vincent, or I should say Vincent, and also Leeds. First alert for the heavy rain and gusty winds, Wilsonville and Columbiana. The rest of Shelby County, it's mostly eastern part of the county now. Rest of Shelby County, we're in the clear. Further south, most of Chilton County, and in fact Clanton, we can sound the all clear for you, but we still have that one little area, this line, that's lifting in towards Sylacauga. So we'll check out the view there from Oak Grove and our friends there that are paying close attention to this. We still have a little ways to go before we can completely clear out Shelby County as this tracks to the east-northeast direction. But one thing I'm noticing, one lightning strike out of all this that you see on the screen. So not much lightning with this. Can barely call this thing a thunderstorm at this point as it moves to the east. But you can see that the winds are picking up right now. Lauren is taking us to a live look. Temperature 67 degrees. We got to watch it here. It's unstable, certainly around Talladega County, and here at Oak Grove, areas to the south. You're looking south along Highway 280. This is the marble city of Sylacauga. So what you're looking at there off to the south, that is the marble quarry that you see to the south. A lot of nights it almost looks like fog out here, but that's what we're seeing, some of that dust being kicked up off to the south. But this is all south of Flagpole Mountain for our friends there, all familiar with those communities, but we're watching it closely here for Oak Grove. And as I mentioned, in case we do have a warning that is issued, the mayor letting me know that the storm shelter is open there as well. But we're watching for our friends in Oak Grove. But listen, we're going to stay on with you and continue to watch this as these storms move through. As Lauren's showing, now seeing already some big improvements around the Hoover area. And from what I see, it looks like we still have some lights on there, Lauren. Of course, we still have the camera view. So for some of us there, we still have power tonight, and that is a good sign. They're around Bluff Park. So it looks like near Harpersville, northwest Coosa County. So the Weather Service is also keeping an eye. They're keeping a watch on that storm that we're talking about. They're moving through Chilton and into Coosa County. They're all over it. Another view, Summerton. So wow, conditions have really improved here in Walker County. So Summerton areas to the north. We're in the all clear. The watch has been canceled for us in Walker County. Here's a look at Chelsea. And also the heavier rainfall has ended there along Highway 36. So another view we can see there from the Chelsea area. Temperature still showing 60 degrees, but hopefully soon we'll be able to cancel that tornado watch for Shelby County. It is nice to see that this is at least moving through a little bit faster tonight, because Lauren, it seemed like it might be 2 or 3 o'clock before we saw some of this moving into East Alabama. And perhaps, you know, with some of the rain and this evolving a little bit faster, maybe that's had an impact on how the severity has evolved tonight. Let's back this view out here quickly just to check out. I know a lot of folks, you might have some interest with, might have some friends, family down in South Alabama. There have been some tornado warnings happening down south of our coverage area. In fact, right now, if you have friends, family in Greenville, you may want to text, call right now, and wake them up and let them know that there is a tornado warning just off to their west there, and that's part of that line where we've seen some strong rotation. Again, this is well south of our area, but it looks like near Greenville, a tornado warning. That's Butler County. County down in South Alabama included, and earlier it was Conecuh County that we had a tornado warning, but some very intense storms there happening. Of course, that's some more soupy air down into South Alabama. Second day in a row, some active weather down into South Alabama. Yesterday there was a tornado warning around the Mobile area, but the tornado warnings at this point are well south of our coverage area, and hopefully, Lauren, some of this, I don't want to see active weather over any part of Alabama, but what can happen sometimes, you get these storms, heavy rain down in the South Alabama, that can help limit the severity of this line further north. So perhaps that's also one of the factors that's helping to limit the severity that we're seeing at this hour across the coverage area. But still some small to the north. Blount County looks like we're going to be in fine shape. I actually had a weather watcher checked in, said, hey, we're still in the 50s in parts of Blount County based on what his temperature sensor was reporting in. So with those kind of temperatures, that's not tornado weather. So that's a good sign there for parts of Blount County. Further south, though, around Springville, no active warning at this time, just wind and rain, probably some 30, 40 mile per hour wind gust out of this. The only severe part of this line, the Weather Service is going to hold on to that warning south of Leeds, okay? So area south of Leeds down in Talladega County, that's where we have the warning at this time. And let's look at that one area, Lauren. We'll bring in some velocity data that was near Harpersville. Let's see, there's Chelsea, so it would be right in this area. There was one little area of rotation that moved north, and let's see, we'll go back over to the storm relative velocity, just take a look at that. So right there, yeah, some broad rotation in that one area that was around Lay Lake. Let's take a look at that, and that's also lessened. It doesn't look as impressive. So a couple of these, well, there we go, right there. That one little area you can see around Marble Valley. A little bit of curvature, but we don't see that really tightening up again. We had a little couplet showing up on the radar, and what we're looking at, those inbound, outbound winds compared to the radar, the Doppler effect, the Doppler radar, to give us a good idea of basically radar indicated rotation where some of that may be happening. But so far right now, we're tracking a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings across the area. Lauren, anything you want to add here? Want to go back and check some of the reports that we have coming in. I know we're slowly starting to see some reports across West Alabama, some down trees, some down power lines. I know we had some power outage reports as well.
Yeah, Wes, really just seeing things pretty quiet. If we've been getting any reports coming in, they've been very spotty, a tree or so here down. What we can do, as you just mentioned, we can go ahead and look at the power outage reports that we're getting, and we'll pull that up for you right here. Look at those county power outages, and it does look like we're beginning to see some more popping up here in Jefferson County. So right now, 5,000 customers without power in the county. We've been getting some spotty reports of maybe some trees down here and there throughout the county. We're not seeing any major damage reports, but over in Tuscaloosa County, about 1,500 customers without power, about 2,000 to 3,000 around Lamar and Fayette, and also some up in Marion County as well. So this is why we always say when you have these systems come through, even if you don't get a tornado warning out of it, you can say the winds as they come through, they do have that potential to bring down some power lines. You can have those spotty power outages. Hey, you don't have to have a severe storm for the power to go out sometimes. We get these cold fronts to come through, and when you have a wind advisory and it really picks up, that can bring some spotty power outages as well. But we really are seeing some good signs here. As Wes has mentioned, we still got to watch for those little areas along the line, especially as you can see sometimes when you get into these higher elevations in East Alabama, you see that interaction with the elevation that sometimes can cause a brief spin up. But it is encouraging to see that our friends at the National Weather Service in Birmingham are choosing not to extend severe thunderstorm warnings farther east, which is why we never saw one for Blount County. We're not seeing one for St. Clair County. Instead, the two severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in effect right now are for Shelby County and Chilton County, and those are going to be in effect. Let me pull up a little thing here. Oh, let's wait. Are they done?
Looks like
they're done.
Yeah,
okay.
They canceled the warning.
Well,
so.
There you go. So that's good news. We are seeing the warnings canceled there, and that doesn't mean that the weather is not still going to be impactful tonight, but we have no active warnings across the area. We still have a tornado watch in effect. Let's get an idea of where the tornado watch is still in effect. I'll reset the view for you here Takes just a moment to get everything cleared off of the screen, but we can see where there is still a tornado watch in effect across areas east, but I wouldn't be surprised if areas like Jefferson County, Shelby County, into Chilton County, possibly even into Blount County, if these are the next areas that we're going to see cleared from this watch, since we are generally seeing a weakening trend as this is pushing east, and thus far everything seems to be behaving.
Yeah, and Lauren, you know, because it is so late at night, I want to go to this storm here. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning down in the Lowndes County, Alabama. Possible tornado debris signature showing up with this right now. So this would be down in, there it is right there. So there's the warning. This is south of Montgomery, but if we go over to the correlation coefficient, we might go to Maxwell Air Force Base. We'll have a good view of this, and there you go. So you can see indications there. Possible debris signature with this as this storm's approaching the Montgomery area. So if you have, again, friends, family, may want to get on the phone, text them, call them around the Montgomery area south towards places like Fort Deposit. We've got a tornadic storm that's south of the area, but clearly you can see this is where a lot of the active weather is going to continue for the remainder of tonight. Looks like this is setting up in areas to the south. Now that rotation, are we looking, was that from Maxwell? Okay, so we're looking at the Montgomery radar site. So for those areas further south, again, here's Montgomery. I just want to stress again, this is south of our coverage area. But since we're on with you right now, I know some of us out there, we may have family, friends down in this part of the state tonight, but it's very important that we also kind of play a part to help spread the word, right? And it never hurts to call or text and wake someone up, let them know that there is a tornado warning here. In fact, the way this is tracking, Lauren, it looks like this may actually move close to the city of Montgomery. There's the Alabama River right there, so Prattville's just over the river. So anywhere from Prattville to the city of Montgomery, we may be talking about a tornado that may be crossing the river here along Interstate 65. So some very active weather happening just south of our coverage area. There's Wetumpka. So Montgomery to Wetumpka could be impacted by this. Again, that's around Hayneville, and that's moving to the north and east. An active tornado warning tonight, and that warning will be in effect. Possible tornado debris signature. This is west of Calhoun. This storm merging there with that line of storms. That warning will be in effect until 12:45 in the morning for folks here in the southern part of the state. And we have a lot of folks that also tune in around the state on our streams. We have a television streaming app. If you haven't downloaded that for like a Fire TV stick, you can download the app, go back and watch shows like Absolutely Alabama, Weather Extra. So it's a free app you can download. And also we have our mobile app, so that's an entirely different app. But bottom line, folks, I know are tuning in on our streaming channel, so we want to provide some updates on what's happening there. But again, this is well south of our coverage area. Mostly what we're seeing out of this, a lot of rain. Lauren, if you could update us, I know we had so much weather and storms we were tracking tonight. Can you give us an update also? I know you were looking at some of the data for the rest of the weekend, but not only the weekend, you know, as we look ahead to the end of the year. I mean, some of the long-range data was suggesting that we could see some significant cold weather coming perhaps the second weekend of January.
Yeah, Wes, we have been certainly seeing the signs that there is going to be the potential for possibly an Arctic outbreak as we get into early January. So once we get into early January, that's when we could be seeing a strong cold front coming through. I'll actually pull up for you. Let's see if I can get it really quick. This is our New Year's outlook. If we look at our New Year's forecast for New Year's Eve, we're looking at temperatures in the 60s, but there's going to be an initial cold front coming through. That could bring a few spotty showers on New Year's Eve. I don't think there's going to be any issues as you're ringing in the new year, but for Wednesday, which is the first day of 2025, we begin to see temperatures drop. And as we look beyond the 7-day, I can pull up that little outlook for you here. This is looking at January 4th through January 8th. So about, let me do my math here, about 6 to 10 days from now, this either, yes, this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. You see this outbreak of cold air across parts of the eastern U.S. And so it's in these areas that we could be seeing the possibility of below average temperatures. So I would just plan for the first several days of January, possibly the first 10 days of January, us looking at a below average pattern where we could see some abnormally cold, dangerous cold air outbreaks. But that's still well far out in advance. Right now, what we're really dealing with is seeing the impacts of that warmer air that has been coming in. So you can see now we were looking at West Alabama. That was the area where we had more of that warmer, more unstable air. But with the rain, that has helped to cool things down. So we flipped things and we're finally seeing that warmer air moving into East Alabama. That's why we still want to watch things closely tonight. That's why there's still a tornado watch in effect until 4 a.m. because we now are seeing those warmer temperatures. I mean, check it out. Alexander City checking in at 70 degrees. And we're also beginning to see moisture going up as well. You can see especially areas a little farther to the south, Clanton, Alexander City, you're seeing some higher dew points, and dew points tell us how much moisture is in the air. One thing we haven't looked at are wind gusts with this system as it's coming through. Check it out. We have been seeing a wind gust of 37 miles per hour in Alabaster, 34 miles per hour in Talladega, 40 miles per hour in Clanton with that potential severe warned storm that came through, and then 38 mile per hour gusts in Utah. So the one thing we noted with this system, hey, there was going to be some considerable wind energy with it, but there was a question of how unstable the air was going to be. And by the time the air did become more unstable, there would possibly not be the opportunity for it to really kick in with those upper level winds. And you see that maximized, and that's when you could potentially get a better chance of a severe threat. So what we are going to be noticing here as we go into tonight is that there's still going to be a weakening trend. We still want to watch for the possibility of these little weak kinks along the line that could potentially lead to some rotation. So that's what we're going to be keeping a close eye on now. As we look over into Talladega County, we see this one area that looks like maybe if we were to see something, it would be here to the west of Comerdale and to the west of Pleasant Hill. This is to the south of Childersburg. Approaching that 231 corridor, could be seeing some intense winds and heavy rainfall as this pushes to the northeast towards Highway 21 and closer to Highway 76. But check it out. No lightning in this particular radar view, so that's a good sign. You begin to see that lightning go down. That's not to say there isn't lightning on other parts of the line, but we're not seeing any severe thunderstorm warnings in place. Where we are seeing some of that intense lightning, remember we were just looking at the temperatures and the dew point showing them elevated in parts of East Alabama now, finally getting a little bit more elevated. You can see over in Coosa County and getting closer to Tallapoosa County. That's where we're seeing some of that heavy rain moving in, possibility of some gusty winds approaching 231 near Rockford. A first alert for areas like Rockford, Goodwater, Alexander City. This will be moving in shortly, but that's where we're seeing some lightning popping up. And so this line is moving at about 50, 60 miles per hour. So we can use that and estimate when it could be moving into areas like Alexander City, Dadeville, possibly getting along 280 in between Dadeville, Alexander City, some of that heaviest rain and the most intense winds within that part of that. We're talking about 40 mile per hour wind gusts getting to Camp Hill around 1 a.m. So if you think about our earlier timing map, we are really beginning to see things picking up here. And that's good news because the quicker it gets out of here, the more quickly you can go back to sleep, right, and not have to deal with this. So we're not seeing any additional severe thunderstorm warnings in effect in our area. Generally a weakening trend, but we're still going to watch for those little areas along the line where west you could see the potential for maybe a brief spin up or some strong wind gusts.
Yeah, and Lauren, I want to show you this. I believe I pulled this up here. I was checking some of the feeds. This was some damage. This is from Chase Wilson. This is in Athens, Alabama, and you can see with those strong winds, looks like pieces of insulation. I mean, when you start seeing that, the insulation and pieces of debris wrapped around trees, that might have been a tornado there. This was in North Alabama. So again, this was earlier this evening. This was from Athens, Alabama. So we are seeing some damaged pictures like this from other parts of the state coming in tonight. So not only for us, I know we've been talking a lot about South Alabama, but even North Alabama, that was happening there. So a lot of folks in the dark and dealing with some storm impacts across North Alabama at this time. But as for us, no active warnings that we have at this time. We just want to keep an eye on this here for just a few minutes longer. What we're going to do, we'll try to take this just take this out a few more minutes in case we have another warning that's issued, since we're with you here during the early morning hours. And again, we certainly appreciate you staying weather alert. This is not unusual. I've had a lot of folks saying, is this unusual to have this kind of severe weather this time of the year? You'd be surprised how many times this week, and Lauren and I were talking about this, we're here during the holidays tracking severe weather. It's happened so many times over the past few years, it seems like. But this time of the year, we end up with, when it warms up, and you have the ingredients, you have a lot of jet stream energy that leads to these severe weather threats. But thankfully at this point, I'm very happy to see that there are no active warnings in our coverage area. Now there are some warnings still happening down into South Alabama, and this is the worst time of night, the worst time of day to be dealing with these kind of warnings, and especially to the south it's more unstable. South of Montgomery, there's a tornado warning that's active right now, a storm that is approaching the city of Montgomery. It's at the very bottom of the screen there. See if we can move the radar, Lauren, up just a bit so folks can see that, maybe watching from home. Right there is the tornado warning that's approaching the city of Montgomery. So for folks there tonight, need to be getting the first alert for that possibility of a tornado approaching. The actual polygon doesn't include the city of Montgomery, but you can see clearly there's still that area. Looks rather suspicious on the radar, and we're looking at this from the Montgomery radar. A lot more lightning with these storms. You notice that, Lauren, for areas to the south, so it is nice to see that. Hopefully that rain from earlier kind of worked over the atmosphere. But listen, if you're in our coverage area, get some rest. Severe weather threat for most of our coverage area is starting to end. We're still tracking these storms over East Alabama. Right now we have folks that have a simulcasting in Calhoun County, I mentioned earlier, and take note of this. If you are in the Anniston area, the Oxford area, we are on 96.3 FM, 95.9 FM. Anytime there's severe weather in that area specifically, just want to pass that along tonight as a good reminder in the event that we do have severe weather that happens again. Hopefully not, but again this season we'll be watching. But Birmingham, severe threat has ended. Most of Shelby County, severe weather threat has ended. They have the line that's now approaching Talladega, moving towards Alexander City. Mostly just a lot of rain and wind happening at this time. You can see showing around 12, 13 lightning strikes with this off to the south. So just some rain and rumbles right now. If you're watching in Rockford, the wind may be picking up right now, but this is non-severe activity, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Right now it looks like this is behaving around Sylacauga. It's behaving around Childersburg, the city of Talladega, and points north. Let's go to St. Clair County. We'll kind of check in on the north end of this, kind of work our way to the north. And just to show you the heaviest of the rains now approaching the city of Talladega, Howells Cove. There's Capri Islands, Logan Martin Lake. Now the gusty winds about to move in. And still this little area right here around Pell City. Let's go over and check out the velocity on this. And yeah, I believe, Lauren, you made a note a few moments ago. They said maybe a little puff of debris signature perhaps showing up. We might see something like that here. Maybe the wind's kicking up some dust and leaves, and it may start to show up on the debris signature. But here's the thing. So far tonight, these storms are doing the same thing, right? I mean, we've been seeing a couple of random trees down here and there. These storms were packing more of a punch, actually, as they moved in to the northwest part of the area earlier tonight. But so far, at least over the past at least the last hour so far, these storms have behaved so far. So hopefully they continue to do that as they move to the east. Again, there's no warning on this. We'll likely see some strong storm statements perhaps. You look at the radar data, of course this is far away from the radar, we're looking higher up in the atmosphere, and it's picking up some of those gusty winds. You can see there's 60 miles per hour, but closer to the ground we probably have 30, 40 mile per hour winds out of this, but it's really starting to pick up right now. Pell City, our friends here, to the north there's Coal City, to the further north some heavier rain. Looks like it lessens up just a bit as you get closer to Interstate 59, but the Straight Mountain is another location right now. Lauren, looks like we're getting some of those gusty winds and heavier rainfall, but look, no lightning showing up with what you see on the screen. So this is mostly wind and rain that we see right now. So let's go back quickly to the big picture, and let's see if I have any more reports. I was getting some pictures from North Alabama where we had that possible. Looked to me like maybe a small tornado there, Lauren. Did it look that way to you? It looked like a lot of debris wrapped around some of the trees. That was from earlier tonight. There's no active tornado warning across North Alabama. This one, though, folks, right now around Montgomery need to keep a close eye on this one storm that's approaching from the south and west. Tornado warning for Lowndes County, and this again is south of our area. There's Eclectic, there's Alexander City, so folks out here around Logan Martin, you know, this is part of the state where it's still very unstable here. Off to the south, the further south and east you go, the air's a bit more soupy, but right there, a little curl you see with that line that's approaching Prattville and tracking to the north and east. Lauren was putting some of those first alert times there on the screen as this moves north and east. Vincent Fire Department, Highway 231 near Highway 60, reporting a transformer fire. So Shelby County was dealing with some power issues there. We had some power outages. Lauren, can you show us again? I believe you brought up some of those power outage numbers across the state of Alabama, and we were seeing, looked like some of those numbers were a bit more elevated for Jefferson County.
Yeah, Wes, definitely seeing elevated numbers in Jefferson County. We'll pull it up here.
And by the way, I just want to add this, Lauren, the Weather Service, they're discussing what to do for Montgomery. So if you're keeping a watch on what's happening in that part of the state, we'll let you know there might be another tornado warning coming up that may include the city of Montgomery.
Yeah, that's right, Wes. So let's look at those power outages now across parts of central Alabama. It does look like here in Jefferson County, about 4,500 customers without power. In Lamar County, about 3,000 customers without power. And that's the spot that we did see a tornado warning in place for our area. Now, your reporter, Ajane Robinson, she was out in the storm tracker tonight with photojournalist Shane Trail, and they were investigating the area and really didn't see much other than some trees down. But I'm sure as the sun comes up, we'll be able to get a better idea and assess if we did see any issues with these severe storms as they moved through last night. Or as Wes mentioned, you can get these little brief spin up tornadoes along the line that are very difficult to warn for. But what we will note now, as we're looking at storms moving into East Alabama, is that there has been a general trend towards seeing temperatures turning a little bit warmer over in East Alabama, finally getting some of that more unstable air, but really not tapping into that quite as much as we are farther to the south, where you see multiple severe thunderstorm warnings and that tornado warning south of Montgomery. But everything seems to be behaving in our viewing area. We are going to keep a watch on this area moving through Talladega County, Coosa County, as it approaches places like Tallapoosa County, Clay County, but then we go up and see around Asheville. We're getting over into areas that we're seeing around Calhoun County, some of that heavier rain coming in. And let's pull up the lightning tracker too, because you see right there, as this is moving into these higher elevations in Alabama, yes, you do see these little kinks along the line. We've been talking about how there is sufficient wind shear in the atmosphere, but sometimes the air just isn't unstable enough to get these storms going. So it has warmed up some, but it's just not quite as intense as we're seeing down farther to the south. But that's what we're anticipating, that as these storms moved into East Alabama, we would generally see a weakening trend. So as of right now, we'll zoom into where we're seeing some of the heaviest rain. Childersburg, you're getting in on some of that intense heavy rainfall as it's pushing eastward right along Highway 231 down towards Sylacauga. You've got the reds popping up here that indicates some very heavy rainfall. Also stretching up towards Pell City along Highway 231 up towards I-20, and then around Hardwick, around Highway 411 up towards Caldwell and Whitney. Some of that heaviest rain as far north as Altoona. But the only active severe warnings we are seeing are south of our area. And let's see, we're still watching that tornado warning south of Montgomery, and that is in effect for Lowndes County, Alabama. but we still see some intense lightning. I say intense, it's the most intense lightning we're seeing in our neck of the woods. There's still some decent lightning on the storms moving through Coosa and Tallapoosa County. So around Callie's Crossroads too, we notice those pinks showing up. That indicates some very heavy rain is falling. And so the next spots that we're going to be seeing this heaviest rain falling through are going to be Cruzville, Kellyton, Nicksburg, Equality. In these spots, I would expect some heavy downpours here shortly. We've seen when we've been looking at some of our sky cams, people out on the roads tonight, which, hey, if you work an overnight shift, don't really have a choice in that matter, but just be careful because we could continue to see ponding on the roads as these storms move through and push eastward. Because not only do you have this main line, that QLCS that we've been tracking, that quasi-linear convective system, say that 5 times fast, basically just a messy squall line. Behind that line, we have more rain filling in. Now, none of this rain is going to be severe, but nevertheless, you're going to be getting some more heavy rain overnight. So definitely likely going to be waking up tomorrow morning a little bit waterlogged. Definitely the ground's being saturated and seeing that potential for some wet roads. But one thing we are going to note tomorrow is winds are going to be picking up as well. So you've got a cold front coming through. It's not going to turn that much colder, but definitely going to be seeing that possibility of some heavier rain that could lead to some localized flooding. But generally, the good thing about the flooding threat with this system, as it's been pushing eastward, it's going so quickly, you don't really have time to get significant water on the roads. So that can help to limit some intense flash flooding that sometimes you can see with these systems as they come through. But we'll just continue to watch for these little kinks around the line. I would say likely the most intense part of this line right now in our neck of the woods looks to be in areas like Coosa County over into Tallapoosa County. And then of course we're keeping an eye on these storms to the south, and it does actually look like a tornado warning south of Montgomery has been extended to south of Montgomery in Montgomery County, and that is going to be in effect until 1:15 a.m. Central Time. If we look at the velocity products here, it still looks like some fairly broad rotation, but you see where that bright green is popping up? That would indicate an area where you're seeing some intense wind gusts, and that broad rotation, sometimes it can tighten up and you can briefly see a tornado. So areas like Rolling Acres down towards Cross Creek, Doral Estates, definitely want to keep an eye on the potential for a tornado to move into these spots. It is moving eastward towards Highway 31, Hope Hole could be in the potential path of this, and then along Highway 331 as well. So Cross Creek, Doral Estates, Rolling Lakes, and then this is going to be pushing north and east towards Highway 6. So what we're noticing is that the rotation, yes, it's fairly broad, but we are seeing on our reflectivity data here, or our velocity data rather, that there are some intense winds with this. And this is coming from our Montgomery radar site, so it's a little bit closer to the site. We aren't seeing a ton of lightning on this particular storm as we zoom in here, but it gets a little higher, the lightning values, as you get a little closer to Montgomery. So if you have any friends or family in Montgomery and you're still up, or potentially you're watching us from Montgomery on your streaming platforms, you definitely want to get to that safe space. That is your safe space to go. That is a lower level of your home, an interior room away from windows, especially if you live in an area where maybe there are some large trees in your yard. You want to avoid that. And if you have any friends or family who live in this area around Hunt Hole, Hunting Downs, if they do have the potential to go somewhere, if they live in a mobile or manufactured home, that safe shelter that they can get to, whether it's friends, family, a local storm shelter, that would be a good idea. But this particular warning that has been extended into Montgomery County is in effect until 1:15 a.m. Central Time. But remember, this is outside of our viewing area here in Birmingham and central Alabama. We're still not seeing any active warnings in our neck of the woods because as the system has been pushing eastward, it's been weakening, but that was kind of our forecast. As these storms would move into East Alabama, there was going to be a general weakening trend. You can still see these little kinks along the line where the winds could be a little bit gustier, but generally they're just not able to really get going more than producing some heavy rain and gusty winds, because you do have that possibility for at least some heavy rain to move through. You still got to watch for that isolated tornado threat though. But what I want to show you really quickly, I'm going to clean this up again here. I want to show you where there are still areas that are under the tornado watch. So bear with me for just a moment. We're going to pull it up.
Counties have been cleared
Yeah.
away from that tornado.
And there you go. So you can see this is what we were mentioning earlier. Areas like Blount County, Jefferson County, Shelby County, Chilton County have been cleared. So just as I said, we were going to pull that up and see those counties that were cleared, and we're seeing that plain as day. So the only counties that are remaining under a tornado watch in our area are Cherokee County, Etowah County, Calhoun County. If you're checking in from St. Clair County, Talladega County, Clay County, Chilton County is cleared, but also Coosa County and Tallapoosa, Randolph County as well. And so in those areas, still have that tornado watch in effect until 4 a.m., but I would not be surprised. We're at 12:45 a.m. now, and this thing has been booking. I would not be surprised to see these counties cleared sooner rather than later, Wes.
Yeah, that's the thing is we're probably going to see more counties cleared away here. I brought up the view. This is from Appalachian School at Straight Mountain, and as this line's moving through, just to show you what it looks like here in Blount County, a lot of rain falling right now, some wind, but nothing too extreme based on what I'm seeing for that area. Also for Oak Grove, looks like we made it through. The mayor there giving me some updates from the city, and that's in southern Talladega County, but said we had some gusty winds as this moved through. I'm getting some reports coming in still from Marion and Lamar counties. The Tom Bigby Electric Cooperative sent out a note to folks there in those counties that they're receiving a lot of storm reports, power outage reports, and said that they were hit heavy, very hard there in Marion and Lamar County, and they have crews out tonight working to assess the damages, and they know they have multiple broken power poles, trees down on power lines, and it's going to take some time to get to those areas and repair power. So again, that's in Lamar and Marion County. I know a lot of you right now are either listening to us on the radio or streaming us, but it's probably going to be a little while for some of those areas where we do have some of those power outages. And listen, this had some big impacts on parts of the area tonight. I don't want to say that this was a complete, as this moved through, we didn't have any damage reports, because we did have some damage reports across parts of the area. I want to go back over to radar. I want to show you something. This is in Montgomery. The National Weather Service, they have extended a tornado warning, and if you're familiar, you take Interstate 65 south of Montgomery, right around the Hyundai plant. So I'm zoomed in here, south of Montgomery, right in that area. Let's go over to I want to show you what the velocity data looks like. Let's bring in right in this area. We could have a tornado right around Wiley. Now this is south of our coverage area, but if you have friends, family in this area tonight, you need to let them know that we're tracking a possible tornado that is approaching Montgomery. This is in the southern part of the city. This is out around the Hyundai plant, and again, this is south of town. This is north of Fort Deposit. And the way this is moving, it looks like it's going to be crossing I-85 right around the Arrowhead area. So again, this is south of us. This is our sister station WSFA is located here in Montgomery, and our buddy Josh Johnson's likely on right now. So for folks there, I know a lot of folks are tuned in, but just to help spread the message on where we see some of the more active weather that's happening across the state right now. But mostly what we have going on is a lot of rain, as you can see, that is making its way to the north. Looks like a 47-mile-per-hour wind gust just reported, Lauren, at the airport in Montgomery. So they're getting some strong winds, but that line is moving on to the east, and hopefully it will be out of here very soon. We'll stay on, we'll probably take this to 1 o'clock, Lauren. Just stay on top of this as we see these storms moving to East Alabama, just in case. This has almost cleared the area, but still to be impacted. You can see there's Cherokee County. Here's Calhoun County right now for folks listening in on the radios there. We're about to have some strong winds, some heavy rainfall, but there's no warning in place right now. So hopefully those winds will stay below severe levels with this. The more intense part of this line now, more towards Montgomery. And the way that's tracking, folks around Lee County tonight, those areas, Chambers counties, Tallapoosa, I think that's probably, Lauren, where we're probably going to see some of the more significant weather for the remainder of tonight. Looks like that instability is kind of getting pinched off down into the far south and east part of the state. But north of Alabama right now, Huntsville's in the clear. There is some leftover rain, a lot of rain behind that initial line. So we're still going to hear some rain, some rumbles that will continue through the early morning hours. But it looks like the clearing line already, the rain starting to taper off. Looks like an upper low. Do we have any snow with this? A lot of times this time of the year when you have these trailing upper lows, sometimes these cold core lows can generate winter precipitation. I just want to look back to where this cold air is located near Memphis. There might actually be, let me actually go to your radar view there, Lauren. Looks like almost like a little snow axis perhaps trying to set up where we have that upper trough back to the north. Don't know if it's quite that cold at this time, but some leftover precipitation, certainly where it's a lot colder. But actually, you can see how the greatest instability is down in this part of the state right now. And again, we have that tornado warning that's right around Montgomery. It's interesting, Lauren, what we saw with the line earlier. We saw the more significant tornado warnings that were on the northern end of the line, and we're seeing the same thing here. We have severe thunderstorm warnings. Actually, looks like south of Mobile. Actually, looks like a warning has popped up. You see right there. Down in the far south, is that Baldwin County? It looks like under a tornado warning as well.
Yeah, that is what it looks like, Wes. Let's pull it up here, look at our Mobile radar. I think, yeah, it's getting close to the Florida line as well. Let's see, yeah, so you can see there's a tornado warning in place for Baldwin County, Alabama until 1 a.m. Central Time. So this includes areas, let's see if we can get an idea of where that is. Very faint. Again, with these systems, you're just seeing these little brief spin-ups that are showing here. So just to the east of Highway 59, we have this one little area that's spinning up here to the north of Summerdale, headed towards Highway 90. And remember, this is in southwest Alabama, closer to that I-10 corridor. Now, a lot of folks go this way to go to the beach, but this particular cell is lifting north towards I-10. And you can just notice the difference between looking at our radar views and this one. Some intense lightning with this as it's pushing to the northeast. So we'll continue to watch these areas to our south where it looks like the instability has been a little bit more maximized. So it's just able to tap into that. And that's what we're seeing here in areas in Baldwin County, Alabama. And this is in effect until 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Central Time, and that's part of a greater severe thunderstorm warning that does just kind of cover a good just north of Gulf Shores. I know a lot of us travel down this way, so if you think about those areas that you travel through to get down to Gulf Shores, this is one of those spots. But as far as the rotation that we're tracking, if we zoom in, this is indicating about maybe 50-mile-per-hour winds associated with this, and still some intense lightning. But remember, the whole setup with this is you just get these little spin-ups along the line. So really the most intense part where we're seeing the thunderstorm warnings that have been issued is stretching from Montgomery all the way down to north of Gulf Shores. And that's where you have that more unstable air in place that has been allowing these issuances of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings as well. But again, we are seeing improving conditions across our area. You've got rain that's moving in on the backside of this line. So really some major improvements, but it's just far east Alabama that we're seeing the rest of this little messy squall line moving in. So areas like Ashland, Anniston, Jacksonville, Gadsden, at first alert, you're going to be hearing some heavy rain, potentially some rumbles of thunder here shortly. So especially in areas like Calhoun, Etowah, St. Clair County, notice where it's beginning to bow out along the line here around Raglan. This is going to be pushing north and east towards Ohatchee, Jacksonville, Weaver, Anniston. You could be seeing the potential as this little bowing segment moves in. As Wes was saying, you can see the interaction with these higher elevations sometimes can amplify and intensify these storms. This could be producing 50-mile-per-hour gusts as it moves towards Highway 278, crosses the Coosa River, gets closer to Jacksonville, possibly to the north of Oxford, Anniston, moving into those higher elevations in northeast Alabama. We'll turn on the velocity product here. Yeah, you just got to watch for these little kinks along the line, Wes. It's no guarantee, but
yeah,
that's just the way it works.
Yeah, that's the way it works. It's a lot of babysitting the radar on nights like this, Lauren. But listen, we're going to stay on top of this for you here until this clears the area. We're watching these storms pushing through East Alabama. I want to go in, since we had the big picture up, Lauren, and let's start from the top of the screen. I want to go in. I know a lot of folks are up tonight, early this morning, watching us in the Gadsden area. We're under a tornado watch. It goes until 9 o'clock. o'clock, but listen, this watch will be canceled well before 9 o'clock if you're watching me here in the Gadsden area. But we're now starting to see some of those gusty winds. There's Reese City, our friends here over Chandler Mountain. There's still all these locations, heavy rain starting to move in at this time. It's just wind and rain staying non-severe. Let's go over to reflectivity and check that out. And heaviest of the rain right around Mountain Borough. There you go, along Highway 431. So Mountain Borough, Walnut Grove, Altoona, our friends there point south towards Asheville. Now seeing improvements around Sneads and Douglas. Aniana, severe threat is over for us. We'll see Blount County's also been cleared. A lot of these counties starting to drop from that tornado watch already, and most of the area, hopefully over the next hour, Lauren, we'll see most of our counties at least cleared from this tornado watch. But there's Asheville, Raglan, there's Ohatchee. Lauren was just talking about Alexandria and Ohatchee about to have some gusty winds, some heavy rain moving in. Notice no lightning showing up. We may not even hear a rumble of thunder. May just hear the wind just really pick up out there as this blast through this little gust front. Raglan already on the back edge of this, so the rain over towards Coal City here in St. Clair County, the heaviest of the rain has moved on through. Lincoln, we're now on the back edge of that heavier rainfall. So this is now about to cross over here towards Coldwater Mountain and east of Boga. So there's Oxford, Munford's here to the south. We have some heavy rain. There's the Talladega Superspeedway. Some heavy rain there crossing into northern Talladega County, so it's just wind and rain for us as well. Nothing that just really stands out based on what I'm seeing here. We're just doing some real-time analysis on the radar. It just looks like it's going to stay below severe levels, thankfully, and I guess that rain really helped us out earlier, Lauren. We'll pan this further north. We'll take this on down into southern Talladega County. I mentioned Sylacauga. This has now passed. Childersburg, this has passed. You can see Talladega getting some of that heavy rain at this time. This is going to move over towards Chambers Springs area. There's Waldo, and now Clay County next up. We need to watch Clay County for some gusty winds, some heavy rain. We're under a watch, but that will likely be canceled. It looks like a little bit of lightning here, so we may hear a loud rumble of thunder. It looks like northern Coosa County, right around Goodwater, but you can see the worst of this. There's Sylacauga. It has passed. There's Childersburg, Sycamore area. You've got it made for the rest of the morning. It's just rain, but the worst of this has moved on through. Rockford area, we're on the back edge of this here in Coosa County. We're keeping an eye on it. We are seeing more lightning strikes, but clearly you can see where the severe weather environment is setting up in areas to the south. I believe what we need to do right now, I want to go quickly back over to the First Alert Storm Tracker, and we've had a team out there throughout the night. I just want to give a big shout out to Ajane and Shane and the First Alert Storm Tracker. You can see they're actually on their way back to the station, but they were all the way over in Lamar County, bringing you some of those scenes from earlier tonight with our team coverage here, giving you the first alert. And on your side for folks in Marion and Lamar counties, we've had the storm tracker there across west Alabama. But thankfully, they're able to make it back here without heavy rainfall. Looks like some decent conditions there for folks traveling along the interstate. And I know it's a busy weekend with folks traveling out there, so hopefully we get this on out of here and the rain starts to back off into the early remainder of the morning here across the state. But that's what it looks like for folks out on the road tonight. We're not seeing any dense fog. It's certainly more stable conditions starting to take over, at least for our coverage area here across central Alabama. So there's some circulation developing. The Weather Service noting south of that tornado warning that was south of Montgomery. And again, for folks that are in this part of the state, still a very active situation, a significant severe weather threat here happening Montgomery Point south. You can clearly see that we have what could be a tornado here spinning up south of Montgomery, moving towards the Carter's Hill area. Folks south of Montgomery, looks like around Freeport and over towards Interstate 85 need to be weather alert. This time of year, part of the state certainly no stranger to severe weather happening this time of the year. It's very unstable. Notice on Red Mountain right now, the temperature is actually down to 59 degrees. So, Lauren, we've really cooled off here on what's happening on Red Mountain, at least more stable. And the severe threat has ended for Birmingham. I just want to stress no severe threat for Birmingham. But look at some of the radar data you're showing. I mean, those are some high winds showing up some of that velocity guidance that you have coming in, and that is a tornado warning until 1:30 in the morning for Montgomery County.
Yeah, Wes, so we are definitely watching that area. Remember, this is outside of our coverage area in the Montgomery area, but what we have been noticing is that you've been seeing these circulations as you get closer to the Montgomery radar site. You have a better view of exactly how the winds are evolving within the storm as they push eastward. And it's within Montgomery and areas to the south where we've been seeing more warnings issued that you're able to tap into that more unstable air. And so there's plenty of wind shear in the atmosphere here in central Alabama, but one thing we've been lacking is some of that warmer air to the south. So this looks like one of the more decent circulations we've seen this evening. We'll turn on some of this is a good view of it. You can see I'm going to take away the tornado watch so that doesn't clutter the screen for you, but just giving us an idea of where you see that red and green right on top of each other. That does indicate that you're seeing rotation and you get a little couplet here. And so the Montgomery radar site is to the north and east of here. So that green is moving towards the radar and the red is moving away. So you get this counterclockwise circulation that could be moving towards areas like Carter's Hill, Pike Road, London, Cecil, Matthews. If you have any friends or family who live along Highway 6, be the hero, go ahead and call them, wake them up, text them, give them that first alert that there is a tornado warning in place for Montgomery County. And we'll continue to watch this closely. This one is in effect until 1:30 a.m. Central Time. We're at 1 a.m. Central Time right now, but this is certainly going to be impactful, Wes, for people south of the Montgomery area.
Yes, it certainly is, Lauren. And listen, if you have friends, family in these areas here to the south, as Lauren noted, help spread the word to this early morning hour. We want to make sure folks get the warning. But as Lauren noted, it's 1 o'clock here. So what we're going to do here, it's at the top of the hour, we have no active warnings for our coverage area. I know a lot of us are still tuned in, locked in here across East Alabama. And just to let you know right now, the way it's looking, Anniston, Jacksonville, Piedmont, we're watching it for our friends here. These storms are behaving. I know we still have the watch in effect. Gadsden is just a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and we've given this some time here. We've been watching it over the past 30 minutes to an hour, and nothing's really changed. I think that rain certainly helped us out, and now that we're starting to cool off, it's not as unstable here through the early morning. Hopefully that helps us out and keep these storms below severe levels. But you will have some gusty winds and some rain as this moves through Cherokee County as well, Cleburne County, also Clay County, but this is almost completely out of the coverage area. But listen, we're going to be right here. We're going to watch this, but we're going to break away right now and take a break, and we'll keep you posted until this watch is canceled across our entire area. Lauren and I will be right here in the First Alert Weather Center. Lots of updates on the First Alert Weather app, and hopefully we don't have to break back in for a warning. But if you do not see us for the next few hours, don't forget, meteorologist Matt Daniels coming right back up. We'll have a Good Day Alabama weekend that kicks off at 5 o'clock in the morning, so we'll have more news and weather, get you all caught up there starting at 5 a.m. But listen, get some rest. No warnings at this time. Just keep that weather app near the bed, and if we have a warning, it would only be far eastern areas. Most of our coverage area is clear of the severe weather threat, but we still got to watch just a couple of counties out there as we wrap things up here. But we'll keep. Okay, so Lauren, right now I guess what we can do, we can send this back to programming, but any last minute thoughts, any observations you might want to add before we sign off?
No, Wes, I think you summed it up perfectly. The good news is we're not seeing any more severe warnings for our area, so even though it's still going to be windy and wet with rain coming through, just make sure you have that way to get alerts just in case if you're in East Alabama. Otherwise, hopefully you can get some sleep now.
All right, thanks a lot, Lauren, and we certainly thank you for staying weather alert on this First Alert Weather Day. We'll continue to monitor the conditions for you. Stay with WBRC Channel 6. We'll have another update at the bottom of the hour.
This has been a First Alert Weather Update from the First Alert Weather Team.